Out of the greasy smoke, a black knight appeared to lead the celebration. In Richmond, it sprinkled magical stardust and crowned a new prince. Today, the dark force gives way to the brilliance of midday and the harsh reality of Loudon, where knuckle-busting pit work pays off with the ultimate treasure of track position. Where the timeless art of making a pass is at best an invitation to controversy, and at worst, a recipe for disaster.
Tony Stewart may be a rookie, but he's exceeded everybody's expectations, including his own. He won last week at Richmond, becoming the first rookie since the great Davey Allison won twice in his rookie season in 1987. In July, here at Loudon, Tony Stewart thought he had his first victory in the bag, but he ran out of gas with just 2 laps to go. Now, this yellow stripe on the back of Tony Stewart's car tells the other drivers he's a rookie, but he'll take that thing off at the end of this year. Now, at the beginning of the season, Mark Martin said, you know what? He may have won an IRL championship, but he's got to earn my respect here. I think he's done it.
Jeff Burton is tied with Jeff Gordon for the most wins here at Loudon. Burton has the Midas touch for the Magic Mile. He has visited Victory Lane here on 3 different occasions, including this past July when he started 38th, but fought his way to the front for the win. Now, when you're talking about most drivers starting from the back of the pack as far back as 38th, say in July, you wouldn't necessarily consider them a challenger for the victory. But not Jeff Burton, not here at New Hampshire. He'll start 37th today and expect the 99 to go to the front.
Trouble has never been hard to find in NASCAR Winston Cup racing, and if you don't find it, it'll find you, even if you are in the top 3 in the points. Points leader Dale Jarrett found a lot of trouble at Bristol, first to spin, then a tap from Jerry Nadeau, knocked him to 38th. He lost 100 points to Mark Martin. Then at Richmond, Mark Martin found trouble, had a top 10 run going, engine problems pushed him back to 35th. He gave the 100 points back to DJ. Bobby Labonte found a lot of trouble when we were here at New Hampshire in July, and New Hampshire is one of those places where trouble is awfully easy to find. Bobby Labonte's got a good starting position today, but he's like everybody else. He knows that trouble lurks on every corner of this flat racetrack. The 1 mile is tough because it's a single groove racetrack. It is so difficult to pass here. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. There's going to be a lot of action here today. Stay tuned. Do not go away.
We're now in the stretch run. Fall is here, at least in the New England states. The fans are here, nearing 100,000. They're waiting to see how the Dura Lube 300 impacts the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings. And you'll see it all right here on TNN Motorsports. Hi again, everybody. I'm Eli Gold. Welcome to New Hampshire International Speedway. What an interesting weekend it's been. What with Friday being rained out and then the change in temperature. This morning, 37 degrees. Well, it's been an interesting time to try and get yourself dialed in to this racetrack. As a matter of fact, the garage opened a little extra early today, and as per usual, our own Dick Berggren was in the garage at 6:30 this morning, checking out on what the crews are doing to get set up for today's race.
Crews arrived well before dawn here at New Hampshire Speedway. They have more work to do today than usually on a race day. That's because rain washed out much of practice, and Goodyear brought a brand new tire. That meant new setups for many of the teams. Because nobody really knows how this tire is going to perform under race conditions, the teams have built lots of adjustability into their race cars. Bobby Labonte's team has put these pieces of numbered tape on the nose. They can rip those pieces of tape off during pit stops to adjust the car, make it handle a whole lot better. Lots of work gets done on all the cars on race morning. 6 separate checklist sheets to be gone over on Jeff Burton's winning number 99 car. Every nut and bolt has to be just perfect, because even the fast car is not going to win the race if something goes wrong.
Now we go trackside. Our Grand Marshal is Elizabeth Dole, a Republican presidential candidate, here to get the command and this race underway.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Qualifying yesterday, well, certainly Rusty Wallace had it figured out, but Buddy Baker, not many folks did know their way around this Magic Mile.
I've talked to about half of the drivers early this morning. Not one guy was happy in happy hour. So one thing, qualifying's one thing, but 300 times around this racetrack, that's another. They'll be working on these cars all day to get that maximum grip in the corner. How fast you get through the corner, that's the guy that will win.
Now, those who have won races here, a pretty good who's who of NASCAR, but those who have never won at the Magic Mile, also a pretty good who's who. Those are some of the faces looking for their first ever New Hampshire win. Is today their day? We'll find out together. We're going racing when we come back. Hampshire International Speedway, not a cloud in the sky, bathed in sunshine, temperature right at 70 degrees. That could not have been a nicer day, Dick Bergman. And as a New Englander, we thank you for rolling out the nice weather.
I worked hard on this, I really did. It is a perfect day, an absolutely perfect day for racing, and we've got a full grandstand here to watch it today.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for this 10th ever NASCAR Winston Cup event here in New Hampshire. Rusty Wallace won the first race here in '93, and the Winston Cup point leader Dale Jarrett. Kenny Schrader, a two-time winner here. Guys, it's been 1991 since Kenny last won. One of these days, it's going to be his day.
Could be today. He said this is not a lame duck team, even though he's going to another for year 2000.
You know, he's leaving this team, but he went up this week and talked to the sponsors and said, please stay with Andy Petrie, even though I'm moving along. What a guy.
Wally Dallenbach, 7th here in July. Looking at row number 5. Good qualifying effort, both of those fellas. Kyle Petty has 3 top 10s here. Joe Nemechek. Steve Park, he's running 5 different NASCAR racing touring divisions at this location. Rick Mast, Jeffrey Bodine. John Andretti was 3rd here a year ago in this event. And Dale Earnhardt looking for his first win here in New Hampshire. New look, David Green in for Rich Bickle. Jeff Gordon has won both runnings of the Dura Lube K-Mart 300. Hey, you know something, buddy? Todd Bodine getting rave reviews from the crew in that number 30 car.
Absolutely. I talked to the crew this morning. They said he is so knowledgeable about the race car. If it was up to them, they wouldn't mind signing him up for a long contract. But that's still up for grabs on the as far as what the owner wants to do. But they really think a lot of Todd Bodine as a driver.
Further back, you see Ricky Craven, a local favorite here, and Jeremy Mayfield. Jerry Nadeau, he's from Connecticut, calls this his home track. He's got some wins here in road racing events. Bill Elliott. Terry Labonte. Ricky Rudd won here in 1994. You saw highlights on the pre-race show. Elliott Sadler. Play something. They're confident. They ran well in happy hour yesterday.
They were very, very strong yesterday afternoon, and Sadler thinks he's got his best shot for a great finish here today.
Yeah, but I tell you, you just seen a picture of the 99 car. Jeff Burton, he will be on the run. He said where you start is no excuse for where you finish.
Rich Bickle is on board the Wacky Racing number 9. Shotgun on the field. There is Dave Marcus and the 43 starters in today's running of the Dura Lube K-Mart 300. Now let's check out the AutoZone prep for the race, brought to you by the more than 2,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Interesting numbers. This track measures just over a mile, 1.058 miles around. So hence this race is 317.4 miles for the 300 laps. The track description brought to you today by Ford, makers of vehicles that are built to last. What's it? Was the guys call it, what, Martinsville on steroids, buddy?
Yeah, that's it. They say it's actually more like a short track than it is major speedway. Of course, the straightaways, you run 150 miles an hour into a 12-degree turn. Straightaway is only 2 degrees, so it's basically a flat track. When you go in there, a lot of them say it feels like it's cambered the wrong way.
Now the field getting the 1 to go signal. And we've got a grand total of 8 drivers giving us rides around the speedway today, including Kenny Irwin. He'll give us the ride on the Haviland team. Robert Presley and the Jasper Engines and Transmissions entry.
Eli, you can see them accelerating up, putting the brakes on. You use a lot of brake getting in the corner here, so they're heating the brakes up and also weaving the car back and forth to get a little heat into the tires and clean them off.
Bill Elliott lets us hook a ride with the McDonald's team. Mark Martin always carries the onboard cameras. And there he is right in behind Ted Musgrave as they form up for the start out of turn number 2. Randy LaJoy is here in one of 2 identically painted Federated Auto Parts cars. The other is Hut Strickland. You saw the back of Ted Musgrave's car moments ago. Now there's the view that Ted has looking forward towards the Johnny Benson machine. Bobby Labonte is going to give us a lift around the Magic Mile today from his 7th starting spot. And the Rookie of the Year leader and last week's winner, Tony Stewart, also giving us a ride around with the Husqvarna onboard cameras.
Well, it's always an interesting race here at New Hampshire Speedway with all these long straightaways. 4 men didn't qualify. Andy Belmont, Derek Cope, Dick Trickle, Darrell Waltrip didn't make it. Pace car off.
You ready? Green flag, green flag, green flag.
Glad you're with us on TNN Motorsports. Complete lap speed up at 138 miles an hour. Wally Dallenbach, close quarters right there, running middle of the field. He was in 7th spot, manages to gather things back in. Rusty Wallace is the race leader as you look from Bobby Labonte in 9th back towards Steve Park in 10th. And there's Dallenbach in 7th originally, but now has backslid all the way to join Nemechek.
And you can see why right there. He got a little bit loose. Nemechek touched him on the left rear corner. Got a little bit sideways, but he's having a little bit of problems getting the air pressure built up in these tires to balance the car out right.
Bobby Hamilton in the number 4 Kodak car also is having his problems. He's twice gotten caught in the middle of 3 wide executions of coming out of the corner, and he slipped back every time.
Yes, and that was Earnhardt. Just give Mr. Bodine there a wake-up call in the 60 car, Jeffrey Bodine. He just kind of nudged him a little bit and said, I'm down here.
That'll be 12th spot there, while here's the battle for second. The 88 Jarrett, the 16 Kevin LePage. Wonderful qualifying effort for him. Rusty Wallace still the race leader. The first New Hampshire race he has led since leading 1 lap here in July of '95. 7th different race that Rusty has led this season. We're just underway. There's the battle up front. Wallace, Jarrett, LePage, Skinner 4th, Tony Stewart 5th. Oh, problems, Jeffrey Bodine. And
Roll outside, go
Mark Martin sideways on pit road there. He started towards the inside wall. Several cars in that chain reaction there. You see Jerry Nadeau getting back straight again in the 36th car.
Bill Elliott went roaring right down pit road along with Jeff Burton. Smoke off the back of Jeff Bodine's car.
A lot of smoke. He got into the wall with the right rear corner there. You can see him mashed in quite a bit. Tire smoke galore.
Caution number 1 of the day coming out on lap number 4 as Jeffrey Bodine won around in the Power Team Chevrolet. Was it of his own doing? We'll have to take another look if find out exactly what transpired. But suffice to say, everybody took evasive action. And it's not the widest of racetracks either, buddy. Some of those guys, as we saw Mark Martin, having to use pit road for the getaway.
Well, he started to go down pit road, and I think he had a little assistance right at the end there and turned him around. He got very lucky there, and he didn't get into the inside wall. See a lot of damage on the right front corner also of Bodine's car.
All right, let's see what happens now. That's Bodine in the black car with Wally Dallenbach. That's the first bump.
Okay, now he's in big trouble right here. Watch him come up and just hit the wall right there.
And look at the 45 just sneaking through. David Green, that purple car.
And Bill Elliott, several of the cars going down pit road. Also, Jeff Burton, 99.
A lot of guys with close calls. Watch it again. Round goes Jeffrey.
Yeah, and you can tell this is what the drivers see coming at this wreck. Nothing. You can't see anything. So if you can go down pit road and avoid those cars spinning, you have to do it.
And there is no speed limit on pit road if you're doing that. If you're going down pit road in order to avoid an accident, you do not have to go slowly. You can go as fast as you want.
Saw Ted Musgrave in the 75 spin around. All of this at lap number 4. And here's what Mark Martin saw. Watch what he has to do.
Watch Sterling Marlin just in front of you as he gets to this wreck. He really takes a ride. Wham, yow.
And for those of you new to NASCAR, wham yow is a technical racing term. That means hold on, here we go. Ted Musgrave.
There goes Mark Martin to the inside. Ted Musgrave right now is hoping everybody does what Ricky Rudd just did. Go right by on the inside.
You see Terry Labonte on pit road. Nadeau's been in. Musgrave, of course, Mark Martin. Sterling Marlin is in. You saw Terry Labonte. All of these stops coming on lap number 5 and lap number 6. You want your fireworks on the 19th of September? We've got them for you right here on TNN Motorsports. On right now, and you can be riding along on the internet with TNN's exclusive live webcast of today's race, www.tnnracing.com. Log on to a special website. You've got onboard videos, scanner, talk, the latest trackside news. TNNracing.com, your all-access interactive garage pass for today's Dura Lube K-Mart 300. Getting set to go back to green after caution number 1. Rusty Wallace ahead of Jarrett, LePage, Skinner, and Tony Stewart, your top 5. Andretti, middle of the pack. You see the 43 and 14th spot. Jumping inside of Wally Dallenbach in the 25.
Yeah, Wally Dallenbach is having some more handling problems right now. He cannot keep the car on the bottom part of the racetrack.
Good battle for second. LePage going right by Jarrett, just out distancing him into turn number 3.
Eli, it's very important for LePage to have a great run today, which he is having. This car is not sponsored yet for next year, so it was
problems. Dave Marcus with Kenny Wallace right there behind him. Dave Marcus, who was running in 29th, brings out the second caution of the day. We have gone 10 laps. We have had 2 cautions. Ralph, it may be one of those days, huh?
Well, Eli, it's starting out that way, isn't it? Right now, they are stringing, is what they call it, the left side of the car for Jeffrey Bodine's number 60. What they're doing is they're checking the toe, adjusting the front wheels, trying to make this car handle better for driver Jeffrey Bodine. And Steve Burns, as you know, if you're not getting the toe just right on this car, it can be a long day behind the wheel.
Now, those wheels have to be pointed in the right direction, Ralph. Now, I'm in Mark Martin's pits, and it appears the team is poised on pit wall to bring Mark back down. As we noted, he was involved in that incident on lap number 4, the first wreck, when Jeff Bodine got into the wall. So it appears that Mark Martin may be coming back to the attention of this team. We'll try to get an update on the damage and let all you race fans know how the number 6 is doing.
Again, Mark is running in 34th right now. Now, the reason we're under caution, as you see some of the fellows who've had problems here on the early going, caution because of this incident in turn 3.
You see Dave Marcus in the 71 down out of the racing groove. Now he backs up into the racing part of the racetrack. That is the preferred line. He's sliding in right there. Kenny Wallace in the 55 there just barely touches him.
Here's what Kenny Irwin saw.
That might be the reason he was in the grass there.
That explains that. How did life ever work without onboard cameras?
Well, you used to be able to drive a lot rougher.
We're under caution. Cleanup is underway out of the turn. We're coming right back with more from Loudon, New Hampshire, right here on TNN Motorsports.
He's checked in with a crew of the number 6 team of Mark Martin. He did not come back down pit road, and Mark has not said anything to them about how the car is handling. Right now, it looks like he has sheet metal damage to the right front quarter. They don't think there's any damage to the chassis or suspension. But again, Mark Martin has not said anything. What do you have, Ralph Jaheen?
Well, work continues, Steve, on the number 60 of Jeffrey Bodine, as you can see. up on the jack stands on the left side of the car. They're going to change a shock and some control arms, and they're going to continue to try to string the car to get it right so you can get those wheels pointed in the right direction and hopefully complete some safe laps here today.
Well, all in all, we've had quite a start. Let's take a look. There's the right side of Mark Martin's car.
You know, I really don't see any problem unless it's just down there on the front valance, just at the front of the tire. I don't really see a problem with it. I see a little bit of there in the middle part of the front fender's got a little crink in it, but that's not enough to hurt him.
But with the repetition of pit stops for many of these teams, Mark finds himself in 34th. There's Sterling Marlin, the nose all beat up, and in particular the right rear as the car pivots around there in the corner.
Yeah, you can see a lot of gray tape hanging off. They call it 200-mile-an-hour tape, but just on the trunk there, he has a lot of problems there. A lot of air will go up under that trunk lid and take away from the rear spoiler. And
in addition to the guys you see on the screen, Steve Park started 12th. He's now 9th. Dale Earnhardt was 16th, now up to 12th.
Green flag, green flag, green flag.
Some fellas making moves. Jeff Burton now 24th, up from a 37th starting spot. Earnhardt and Rick Mast, that's 11th. Earnhardt in the 3, Mast in the 98. There's going to be a stop-and-go penalty for Rich Bickle, passed on the left before the start-finish line.
Tony Stewart moving up in the 20 there, getting by Mike Skinner, getting into turn 3, and going back up to the front.
That's 4th place.
And that was a real power move, the way he drove underneath Skinner, and they have changed absolutely everything underneath that number 20 car this morning. They were happy with the car in the first practice session. Everybody thought this was the car to beat, but this morning they changed 18 individual items in car number 20.
Of course, when they're hot, though, remember they have already led the most laps in 4 races this year, led 333 of the 400 last weekend in Richmond.
And the other luxury they have a great notebook with setup that they led most of this race with last race up here. I'm sure they went back to some of that handling.
Same car they had last time as well. More gas in the tank this time.
There you see 26 spot on back. The 99 on the move.
You know, racing is a contact sport. You can see the 99 there. Jeff Burton already got a big donut in the door where he's been up against somebody. But when you run like he does, you'll get into people.
See those cars getting around the 14 of Randy LaJoy. Steve, what are you hearing from Burton's bunch? They got to be tickled.
Well, Eli, as you noted, he has already moved up considerably on the racetrack from his 37th starting position. In July, he started 38th. Crew Chief Frankie Stoddard told me that when they made their first pit stop here last time, he had already passed 20 cars, and that's how they were able to come back and win the race. Doing the same thing here this afternoon.
Of course, back here in July, Burton led only laps 299 and 300 to get the win, as Todd Bodine in the 30 goes around Ricky Craven in the 50. That's a good ongoing battle for 23rd.
Ricky Craven, he had a press conference the other day, and he said this is do or die for him. He has to get back to where he was in the sport before he got injured. He's driving the wheels off that car right at the moment.
He's also got a great advantage running here. This is a hometown crowd. He's won 3 Busch Series races here at New Hampshire, 2 Winston Cup poles here. If he's ever going to get the job done, this is the place to do it.
Watch right there in the corner. You want to be the first guy to get back on the gas exiting the turn. That's been the key here since they built this racetrack. If you can get slowed down without using a lot of brake and then still get on the gas quickly, right there, you're the guy to beat.
Okay, as he goes in the center part of the corner, right there, he gets back in the throttle. The guy that can stay in the throttle all the way off the corner and down to the end of the next straightaway, that's the guy that's handling well enough to run well.
We've not forgotten about Rusty Wallace, by the way. There he is with a 1/10 of a second over Kevin LePage for the race lead. Rusty starting on the Bud pole, hasn't been touched yet, while the Bobby Hamilton team, they're running in 19th. Glad you're with us. Rusty Wallace started from the Bud pole. He has not been touched since, though Kevin LePage, Dale Jarrett, Tony Stewart, Kyle Petty now running in the 5th spot, all well within shouting distance. If you're just tuning in, Jeffrey Bodine, after extensive repairs earlier, finds himself 16 laps down. Everybody else basically on the lead lap, as we have had 2 cautions, one on lap number 4 for a multi-car spin and one for a Dave Marcus spin on lap number 10. You see Napa timing and scoring, bringing you all the NASCAR numbers up there in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, so you'll be able to keep tabs on where your favorite is. And Ralph, if Kevin LePage is someone's favorite, they've got to love where he is in second.
They sure do, Eli. And in fact, you know, this number 16 has been running well in recent weeks. I just spoke to crew chief Pat Tryson, who's up on top of the war wagon, keeping an eye on the 16. I said, how's the car going? He says, we're going great. He said, we're going so well, Kevin hasn't had a word to say on the radio. And Glenn, as you know, usually when the driver's quiet, that's a good sign.
Yeah, either that or he's real mad about something, but I don't think that's the case. Let's look. I'm going to look at the guys that started in the 5th row, 9th and 10th. That would be Bobby Hamilton, who started 9th, Kyle Petty, who started 10th. Kyle has had a great run so far, moved all the way up to 5th. And Bobby Hamilton, on the other hand, has fallen all the way back to 19th. So that's a net difference of 14 positions between the two. Hamilton says his car's okay. He just got shuffled out of line. It's a brand new car. It only had 17 laps on it when they started the race. He just didn't want to take any chances. Here's Steve Burns.
Hey, thanks, Glenn. Mark Martin was involved in that early skirmish, and he spun down the entrance to pit road coming off turn 4. There you're riding with Mark Martin. As Buddy Baker noticed, so closely, there's just a little bit of damage to the bottom valence of the number 6 car, the front nose piece there on the right front corner. But other than that, as you see there at home, but other than that, Mark Martin is reporting that it's starting to get a little bit loose. No other damage to the car, otherwise handling fine. And there's Dale Jarrett and Kevin LePage battling.
It's a great battle for second spot, now 4/10 of a second behind the leader. You've got 88 Jarrett, 16 LePage, the man you're riding with, Tony Stewart, in 20th, and you see the leader just ahead. That's Rusty Wallace trying to deal with some race traffic. He's got Rich Bickle just ahead of him, that yellow car, after Rich had to come in for an unscheduled stop-and-go penalty before.
Tony Stewart now taking over second place there. Kyle Petty going right with him.
Stewart's did a great job of getting his nose underneath people today without injuring them in any way. They keep their line, but Stewart just slides under. And if you can do that here at New Hampshire, you're going to have a big day.
If you look at Kyle Petty, I think it's in the genes. His dad was a killer on this type of racetrack. And you see the 44 there dipping way over on the right front. It's getting tremendous downforce on the right tires, letting him turn in the center part of the corner.
I'll tell you another advantage he's got. It's Bobby Leslie. Remember all those Busch Series wins Mark Martin had for so many years? Bobby Leslie was the crew chief. He has joined this 44 team. That, you better believe, is a big asset.
And there's one that's on the move also. Bobby Labonte in the 18, fastest yesterday and last practice. So he said, all I have to do is not tear the car up. This handling the best I've ever had a car here.
And if you're noticing, Glenn, everybody we talk about is claiming to have their very best race car ever. It'll be interesting to see who's got the real best car come 3:30 or 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it will be, Eli. There are a lot of good race cars out here. And as Ricky Rudd told us before the race, everybody is running about the same. There's very little difference. Buddy, we're talking about Bobby Labonte. Just a lap ago, he came in and said the car was pretty loose, but he thought he could ride it out. I tell you what, if it's loose now and he's moving forward like this, I don't want to see it when it gets right.
Yeah, right now Kevin LePage is starting to drop back a little. You'll see the cars that really have the balance really worked out starting to go now. The tires are getting hot and they're starting to lose a little grip.
So Bobby Labonte grabs the 5th spot right there. Unscheduled stop for Jeremy Mayfield. He is in on pit lane, lap 35. Steve, what's going on?
Well, Eli just checked with the team. He had started 28th and moved up to 18th, but now he's dropped back on pit road. The water temperature has gone way up on the number 12, so we'll go down and check and find out exactly what's wrong. But high water temperature is really putting Jeremy Mayfield in trouble here early.
He's always run well here, though never finished better than 17th at this racetrack. And right now, one of the captain's cars is leading, but the other one, owned by Roger Penske, sitting on the pit lane right now. Rusty Wallace showing the way as we are in the early stages of the Dura Lube K-Mart 300 on a simply magnificent New England Sunday afternoon. the Dura Lube K-Mart 300. Hey, folks, don't forget ExperienceCountry.com. It is your personal source for all things country. From race cars to country stars, you can connect to country.com. All sorts of information in the racing section. Articles by Buddy Baker. One from Rick Benjamin, the host of Race Day here on TNN. All the latest news and, of course, all the doings in the world of country music. Country.com. Log on and check it out. If you've never been there before, find out what you've been missing. Glad you're with us. Eli Gold, Buddy Baker, Dick Berggren, Glenn Jarrett, Ralph Shaheen, Steve Burns, and the entire TNN Motorsports crew. Rusty is the leader now by 1 full second on Tony Stewart. Other fellows beginning to move up just a little bit. Jeff Gordon beginning to rumble just a tad. Steve Park is on his way up. Jeff Burton, who started way back, he's now in 19th position. So bit by bit, they're pulling away, but so too is Rusty, guys. Not a huge surprise.
I'm going to tell you, they're just behind him. I'm looking at the 20 of Tony Stewart. It looks to me like in the center part of the corner, he may have the best car out there, period, right now. And he's starting to chip away at Rusty Wallace's lead.
Yeah, indeed he is. On lap 38, he was 1.138 seconds behind, where on lap 42 now he's 0.7 of a second behind. He is chipping away.
There you see the best speeds thus far. At the very start of the event, we were up right at 130 miles an hour. So as the tires heat up just a bit, you get more miles on the tires. The speeds do back down. But Glenn, not for that guy. Tony's coming in.
No, Eli, I'm watching the monitor just like you guys are watching the clock of the speeds. And consistently over the last 5 laps, Tony Stewart is the only guy that's still in the 29-second bracket. He's been running 29.75s and 80s and 90s. The rest of them are over 30 seconds. He's consistently 1,500ths to 2,500ths of a second a lap quicker than the leader, Rusty Wallace. It's not going to be long before he puts some pressure on him.
That's a great battle on the track. Meanwhile, Steve, the laps are winding past Jeremy Mayfield. He's now finding himself 8 laps down and still on pit road.
Well, Eli, as you said, Jeremy Mayfield has had some good runs on this racetrack, but it appears he may be done for the day. Just talked to Daryl Andrews, who's on this crew, and he said every indication is that they have a blown head gasket. They've tried to force water back into the radiator. Right now, Jeremy's sitting in the race car. The motor is not running.
Remember, Jeremy came from 30th to the front here last July, and then he was running 8th with 8 laps to go, and then cut a tire, went into the wall, and he finished 30th. It's not been, luck-wise, Jeremy's best racetrack.
It sure hasn't. His average finish here before today was 26th. If he doesn't finish today, that's going to get even worse.
And his best ever was 17th. So, I mean, it hadn't been his great racetrack. Tony Stewart, though, this race car, for some reason, is married to this racetrack. Same car he ran here last time. Right now, he's gaining on Rusty Wallace. Oh, great race car. Rusty said, I've never had one any better than the one I have here today. But you can see Tony Stewart right there on the yellow line. Rusty's car moving out just a little bit in the center of the corner.
Talked to Tony Stewart this week about what his week has been like after winning last week at Richmond. What was the highlight? He said the highlight was walking into the Winston Cup garage here and having all the other drivers and car owners and crew members come by and congratulate him. And indeed they did, and indeed they should. What a run he had last weekend at Richmond.
He's also spending part of the week working on his new home and spent a little time up on Lake Norman. Matter of fact, we caught up with him to do a radio interview on Tuesday on the NASCAR Live show. He had a cell phone on the boat in the middle of Lake Norman.
And he's been working on the Habitat for Humanity. Yeah. He's got blisters on his hand from swinging the hammer for charity.
Great, great work that's gone on. Meanwhile, Kevin LePage now still backsliding. What's the deal?
Well, Eli, the 16 is going backwards right now. Kevin, as we told you, is tight off of the corners. He is radioed in and told the crew he wants an air pressure adjustment when they make that first pit stop. Now, normally to fix a tight off condition, they'll take a little air out of the right front and put a little air into the right rear. And they're hoping that will straighten out the 16. He's still inside the top 10, but at this rate, Eli, won't be for long.
Right now, Kevin LePage finds himself down 5.5 seconds to the race leader, Rusty Wallace, running in the 6th spot. Rusty is still 0.2 of a second up, basically. And there you see him. Well, I say basically, it's all evaporated now off the corner because Tony Stewart's caught him. Jeremy Mayfield is back on the track, 14 laps down. So if you're a Mayfield fan, he's running again. But let's watch this battle for the lead. This ought to be a good one.
Down the front straightaway they come. You can see Rusty Wallace there in the 2 car. Very evenly matched down the straightaway, but as they get in the corner, right in the center part, the 20 car has a little bit of an edge right there.
They've got Robert Presley just ahead of them. Robert's just about a car length and a half up. We'll see whether he can affect anything right here. They'll be catching some race traffic.
See Stewart backing up just a little bit, trying to get a great run off the corner, maybe getting Rusty out of position, but Rusty's one of the cagiest guys to get around you've ever tried to get by. I've raced against him myself, and I'll tell you, he's about the toughest I ever raced against to get by. He's got a great car.
And remember, Rusty has a win here, and he has 7 top 10 finishes in 9 races. So the man's good, but so is Tony Stewart. As for Ray Evernham's driver, Jeff Gordon, he's running 13th early in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, that is the new race leader, Tony Stewart. Had this been a football broadcast on lap 53, they would have said it's time for the hunting unit to come out because that's how Tony Stewart kind of got himself in front, rooted his way around Rusty Wallace with a little contact, but once he got by, look at the lead he's taken.
Yeah, it was a pretty forceful move. Let's take a look. Rusty Wallace goes down into turn 3. Of course, Tony Stewart in the 20 there, right on the bottom. Rusty pushes up right there. He jumps up beside him. Rusty comes down. They make contact. Yeah, racing is a contact sport.
That was lap 53 as Tony Stewart took the lead. Now begins to work around some of the lap machines, or about to put a lap on Sterling Marlin. Sterling had been on pit road a number of times. Remember all the damage? You can see it right there through Tony's windshield. You saw the damage to the left side, left rear of Sterling Marlin's machine. And in 39th, Sterling's about to go a lap down.
Sterling moves up the racetrack, gives Tony Stewart a lower line coming off turn 2 there. These guys work pretty well together. He didn't want to go a lap down, but he realizes Tony Stewart's on the run right now. He would do the same for him.
Middle of the field, Jeff Gordon, Jeff Burton. They're now working together as you see NASCAR timing and scoring brought to you by MCI WorldCom. And as you see those names and numbers click off, you see right there Gordon in 13th, Jeff Burton in 14th on the rundown, having caught one another on the racetrack. And here's that battle going off into turn 1.
Can you believe Jeff Burton here? I mean, he just comes up through there. Like he said, where you start here is no excuse for where you finish. He's going by Jeff Gordon, who had a fairly good qualifying position. He started 19th, Burton all the way in the back of the field.
How about these numbers, guys? At Atlanta, Burton qualified 37th, finished 4th. Bristol, 31st, finished 5th. Dover, qualified 37th, finished 8th. Daytona, qualified 37th, finished 3rd. Here in New Hampshire, from 38th starting spot, he won the race. Then a few weeks ago at Bristol, 37th start, and came up with another top 10 finish. I mean, it's almost like he gets psyched up more by starting in the back.
If they could ever figure out how to qualify, they'd finish these races 2 laps ahead of everybody.
Glenn, if you had been able to finish like that from where you qualified, we'd be talking about you today.
Well, I would have wrecked by now, so you'd have been talking about me and forgotten me. Guys, I'm standing down here right at the end of pit road going into turn 1, and I've been watching Jeff Burton in particular. Maybe you get a look at him right there. I'm not sure. You can see the flames coming out the car. He and Mark Martin and Bill Elliott are the only 3 cars that I have been seeing do that all race long. Now, they don't do it every lap, but almost every lap. Now, that, you know, I don't know if that's a concern, but those are 3 of the cars that traditionally get some of the worst fuel mileage out there. So I don't know if that's a concern or not. What about it, Steve?
Hey, well, Glenn, I'm up here in the 99 pits talking to some of the guys. What they're really concerned about right now, and it's kind of a question mark to me, but they're a little concerned that Jeff is starting to get loose coming off the corners. But as we've noted, he's already passed cars. I mean, he started 30 37th, all the way up now to 13th.
Good move around Dave Marcus right there.
Rusty closed in a little bit, though. Tony Stewart got hung up just a little bit trying to get by Marcus there. You can see the two of Rusty Wallace only about 4 car lengths back down the back straightaway. Now he goes by Marcus.
Tony Stewart, the race leader, that orange number 20. He has led the most laps in 2 of the last 3 races. And Tony, as you remember, we talked about it in the pre-race, led 118 laps here in July. Should have won the race, but the fuel cell went empty with a couple of laps to go.
Well, one of the reasons it went empty is what he's doing right now. He's been hard on the throttle, but it looks like his car may be giving up just a little bit. He's run so hard to get the lead, I think he might have burned his tires just a little bit. He may have to cool. You see Rusty closing in as we speak.
We also saw that good battle before with Burton and Gordon squaring off. Burton going to 13th and Gordon in 14th. Let's get an update on those guys from pit road.
Well, the 24 car, Eli, is real loose coming off of the cordon. Jeff Gordon has been on the radio with Ray Evernham talking about how loose this car is. Ray is doing one of the things that he does very well, and that is talking Jeff Gordon through the remaining part of this run. He radioed to him about 10 laps ago and said, you're halfway through this fuel run. Stay with it. We'll be good to go.
All of this just 67 laps in. Lots of racing remaining. Of course, for Jeff Gordon, the point championship possibly fading out of sight. So what's your strategy at this point, Jeff Gordon? What is your thought for the final few races of the year?
We are not going to ever count ourselves out until it's mathematically, mathematically we're out of contention. But I think that right now it's, like you say, go out and win races, get the best finishes that we can, and see where we end up in the points.
And that's really all you can do. Just go out and it's a hackneyed old statement. Just take every week as it comes. But that's basically how you have to do it. That's 9th and 10th on the screen there. Schrader in the 33 is 9th. Earnhardt in the 3 is 10th. The 42 Nemechek running in the 11th. And the 43 Andretti running in 12th. Good battle up near the front. Kenny Schrader has qualified well here over the years. As well we know, has not won since June of '91, but tries, and I'll tell you, the guy doesn't, his outlook doesn't change. Every week he says, hey, we can do it this week.
Well, he's a little grumpier this year than he usually is, just because he's only won 2 ARCA races. There was 1 dirt track race. Usually by now he's won half a dozen races outside Winston Cup, and he is especially hungry, even more so, I think, than normally, because he really wants to win a race for Andy Petrie before he leaves this team.
Speaking of hungry, right there, the 3 car, Dale Earnhardt. Car looks very, very good right now. As a matter of fact, he's a little bit quicker than Kenny Schrader in the center part of the corner. And that, we've seen that time and time again. That's the key to getting around this racetrack. Just in front of him, Steve Park in the 1 there. That's also an Earnhardt car. I wonder when he gets up there if he'll have any special way of passing.
That's 24th and 25th right there. Bill Elliott, there's that flame that Glenn was talking about. Bill Elliott right there. Kenny Irwin will follow him through around Michael Waltrip. So Elliott in the 94 takes 24th. That man Irwin is 25th. Todd Bodine in the 30. He'll take 26th ahead of Michael Waltrip, who bumps back into the 27th position.
Let me explain that fire in the exhaust pipe. What it is, the exhaust pipe is so very, very hot. And when you go into the corner, that's unspent fuel that was in the exhaust pipe itself, and it flames back as you back out of the throttle. When you get back in, of course, the heat and all takes it right back out.
So working at lap number 72 here at New Hampshire International Speedway, the Dura Lube K-Mart 300 is underway. Maybe not as tense as that man looks, but this guy's in second right now. Of the Dura Lube K-Mart 300. It's a pleasure to have our Grand Marshal for today's race join us in the booth. Miss Elizabeth Dole is with us, who is hoping to earn the Republican nomination for presidency of the United States. It's great to have you here. We were just talking during the break. I said, I've either seen you at Charlotte or Darlington, and you said, well, you've seen me at both.
Right, exactly. And it's great to be with you today at this fantastic facility.
I guess
beautiful speedway.
As a North Carolinian, you know what racing's all about.
I sure do. I grew up with it.
Were you a Richard Petty fan, as most
folks were? You bet. In fact, in my remarks today, I said, I'm from North Carolina, home of the king, Richard Petty.
You then understand what auto racing is all about. A lot of folks who are coming by, campaigning, what have you, just don't necessarily grasp the sport. You do.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's a very family-oriented sport, too. People bring their families, and I respect the values and the camaraderie and the spirit that's here. And it's the fastest-growing sport in America.
Yeah, didn't bring your husband along. Bob's
I wish he could have come. He couldn't make this one.
Well, listen, it's great to see you here.
Thanks
we wish you
so
the best,
much.
and thanks for being part of NASCAR racing.
It's my privilege. Thanks very much.
You. Elizabeth Dole joining us here in the booth at New Hampshire International Speedway. Always a pleasure to have our Grand Marshal join us on the telecast. We are 79 laps down. Buddy, I should have asked her if she remembered seeing Buddy Baker run, because I know she's seen you out
she's
there.
already told me, and when I said I'm from North Carolina, she said, no kidding. I couldn't tell that when you open your mouth. So.
That's great to have Ms. Dole with us here in New Hampshire. Now 80 laps on the board. Bobby Labonte has backslid a little bit now, Glenn. He's 10 seconds back. He's in 7th, which isn't bad on the leaderboard, but he's 10 seconds behind Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Eli, his car started off a little bit loose, as I said earlier, and it's just gotten looser as they go on. We're looking at pit stops in about 9 or 10 laps. Both he and the 20 car, his teammate Tony Stewart, say that they will come in somewhere between lap 89 and lap 91. So we should start seeing green flag stops. Same thing for Rusty Wallace. He's saying about lap 89. Dale Jarrett about the same thing. So in about 10 laps, we should see them all on pit road. They'll give them a chance to make those adjustments on those cars, try to snug them up a little bit.
Some of the fellas who are making pit stops on the front end of this window are in now. Randy LaJoy comes in. There you see Jeff Burton and those flames still belching forth from the Exide Ford. Let's go to pit road.
Hey, I got a question for Buddy Baker. At the top of the show, we were talking about fuel mileage. Well, this has been a long green flag run with the exception of the cautions early. Hey, Buddy, I was wondering, Jeff Burton said the car originally was getting loose, but now it's driving better. A full tank of gas weighs about 154 pounds. Would it make the car turn better as the gas burns off?
Well, it certainly won't hurt it. Anytime you lighten the car up, it makes it go through the corner a lot easier. And also, it's kind of like putting a rock on a string. When you have a lot of weight back there, it tends to make the car go out in the center part of the corner. To get lighter, of course, if you have a little bit of ill handling, it'll get better as the car gets lighter.
Here come pit stops now for Jeff Gordon and Ward Burton. They will come in at lap number 84. Ralph Shaheen.
Well, Jeff Gordon is going to take 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel, and they're going to take a rubber out of the right rear, Eli. Remember, we talked about some teams will make adjustments with air pressure. Well, adjusting with the rubbers is one thing that they can do as well. And Ray Evernham is called to take a rubber out of the right rear to help tighten up this race car for Jeff Gordon.
And, Buddy, that means what?
That means they're softening the right rear. That means they want the right rear to lay over on that tire, put more pressure on it, and make it a lot better when he gets back to throttle as far as forward bite and also getting in the corner softer.
Other pit stops now taking place. All of these at lap number 85. There you see the Phillips car for Michael Waltrip. You've got David Green driving the 45 machine now. They are in for pit stops. These are under green and scheduled here at lap number 85. Others in, Rich Bickle there. That's the left side of your screen. Hutch Strickland, the other Federated Auto Parts car. The exact paint scheme to Randy LaJoy, who was in earlier back at lap number 81. These stops now on lap number 86. It's routine. Meanwhile, Tony Stewart, left of your screen as the race leader. He's got, what, about 10 car lengths on Rusty Wallace. You see Bobby Hamilton in that Kodak machine as the buffer car between the two. He's in 35th spot. Other pit stops at lap 87 now. Todd Bodine comes into the attention of the crew.
Well, you can bet one thing. When they stop and come in and fill these cars up with these cans of fuel, they'll take the cans and weigh them to see how much fuel they used on this run and how many laps. They'll know exactly how far that car will go on green flag runs from here on out.
No fuel gauges in these cars. That's the only way they can monitor how much fuel is in them and how much they've got to finish a run.
Other pit stops. Here comes Dale Jarrett. He's running fourth as he peels off the racetrack. Glenn, here comes your brother.
Yeah, Eli, this pit stop is exactly when they scheduled. They said around lap 87, 88. This is lap 88. Dale comes in. There should be a 4-tire change, and they're going to make a chassis adjustment. His car has been a little bit loose ever since the run. He waves off the bottle of water. They're on the right side now. Fuel going in the car. Right side's down there around to the left. And I still haven't seen the chassis adjustment. And here comes Rusty Wallace down pit right behind him. DJ is down and away. Rusty Wallace follows him closely. I look for Tony Stewart to come in on the next lap. This is lap 89. So here's Rusty. This is exactly when they scheduled their stop. 4 tires as well. They have been talking to Rusty about maybe trying a little bit different line going into turn 3. That seems to be where he's losing the most time on Tony Stewart. Great pit stop going for those guys right now. We got the clock on it. Rusty's down and away. Wow. I got him in about 15.8 seconds. That's a great stop, and here comes Tony Stewart.
Other stops, Tony Stewart's in. Kyle is in. Here come LePage along with Bobby Labonte. Dale Earnhardt is in. Andretti is in. The new leader is Steve Park. As we check out all of these pit stops, seems to be routine for the race leader. Now to Ralph and Kyle's pit.
Well, Kyle was doing a little cheerleading himself. Eli, he turned down pit road. He was begging the crew for a good stop. And boy, they gave him a good one. A little over 16 seconds, and he's pumped up, Glenn Jarrett.
Yeah, Tony Stewart had a great pit stop, about 16.2. But as the jack went down, Tony stalled the car. He lost about an extra half a second or so. Kyle Petty was able to either catch him or go by him as they were going down pit road.
Wally Dallenbach is in for a scheduled stop, and there is Steve Park in the #1 Pennzoil machine. He, too, will make a pit stop. Chad Little comes in also. These stops taking place now at lap number 92. Watch that replay again of the problems that Tony Stewart had.
Right there, he choked it down. Now they're pushing. He had refired him back out into action. There's Kyle just behind him.
Joe Nemechek, the new leader, as Steve Park makes his pit stop. So too does Mark Martin come in. Likewise, Johnny Benson. Brett Bodine is in. Elliott Sadler in as well. Back to pit road.
Eli, Steve Park even stalled the engine as the car came to a rest, but he got it going again. A little damage to the left front bumper area and the quarter panel area of Steve Park. They pulled it out a little bit, changed 4 tires, fuel, sent it back down.
More pit stops now. Nemechek is in. So too Jerry Nadeau in. All of these stops taking place under green. There you see the Bell South Chevrolet. Joe Nemechek, who has won here in NASCAR Busch Series competition. Now it all cycles back around to Rusty Wallace because Bill Elliott also makes a pit stop and was the last of the drivers on the lead lap who had not yet stopped. So at lap number 93, we have cycled back around to race leader Rusty Wallace, who led the first 52 laps earlier in the day. Obviously, you can tell we're under caution. It is caution for the 3rd time today at lap number 97. That gentleman right there, Kevin LePage, had a problem up in turn number 4. Take a look at what happened to bring out the yellow.
Oh, wow. Earnhardt got into the left rear corner there. You see Kevin LePage trying to keep it out of the wall. Makes contact there with the back of the car. Slides down the wall with the left side there.
Ralph, how bad's the damage? Can you tell?
Well, Eli, it's kind of funny. The radio conversation had nothing to do with Dale Earnhardt. And I hear what Buddy Baker said. It's kind of intriguing how you can see the damage on the backside of the car as he pulls away from us. But Kevin didn't even say anything about that. He said that he thought the tires were really tight on that last set. And they asked him if he wanted to make a track bar adjustment. He said no. He said just bolt on a new set of tires. So that's what they did. It's interesting that you could get hit like that and the driver might not even notice. So busy focused on what's going on in front of him.
The tires were tight. They just weren't his tires.
Or he may not want to draw a lot of attention to himself.
Yeah. we've got another guest joining us in the booth. I said, who is it? He said, it's this guy. He's going to bring you all these M&Ms. He said, whoever it is, come on in. We'd love to see him. Ernie Irvan, how you doing, my friend?
Well, I'm not so sure that you guys just didn't want me to come up here just to get some candy.
No. We'll share this with the crew.
Yeah, right.
Sure we will. No, we will. How you doing? Good to see you.
I'm doing all right. There's been a lot of fan, participation, people, calling and writing. And it's amazing, what Winston Cup Racing has brought to me. And, I hate to leave it, but I know
you're leaving as a driver. You're not leaving the sport.
Yeah, it's for sure. That's what a lot of people got to realize. I'm not leaving the sport. I'm just going to be able to leave it as a driver. And I think it's a safer move.
Sure.
Buddy Baker retired, and he definitely could still drive a race car, but he thought that it was a smart thing to do. And, I'm kind of like him.
We had talked about it, Buddy, earlier today on the pre-race, how difficult it is. Because Buddy had told me at the time, he said, I thought I had another 4 years to go. And Buddy, you said it was tough to just walk away, but you had to.
Well, it's everything you really want to be. It's everything you're groomed to be, everything you've been all your whole life, and all you want to be. But you have to decide. There's other things besides just driving. There's life, too. You need that life also.
Well, listen, don't go away, Ernie. You can hang with us, and we'll talk a while, but we do have to take care of a little business right here as we are under caution at New Hampshire. Ernie Irvan stays with us when we return in just a moment. Tony Stewart behind him by about 5 car lengths. Then Kyle Petty, a super run. Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, that's your top 5. I'm Eli Gold, Buddy Baker, Dick Bergman. Ernie Irvan joining us in the booth as well with Glenn Jarrett, Steve Burns, Ralph Shaheen down on the pit lane. Probably a stupid question. I've been accused, Ernie, of asking many of those over the years, but how tough is it just sitting here and watching that M&M's car? I mean, have you already reconciled with yourself that the racing is done? Is it terribly painful to sit here and watch?
Not yet, because right now I'm really not capable of driving a race car. I'm still having problems from my accident, and it's going to be a lot tougher in about 3 or 4 weeks because I'm going to realize that, I could still drive. Sure. And it's just really tough. But I took in consideration that I have a great wife and a great family. And, right now I've got a great sponsor with M&M Mars, and that's all important.
Good battle right here. That's 4th and 5th. Jarrett and Bobby Labonte on the screen. As mile tracks go, this one, Phoenix, the other flat tracks. This is a difficult one or an easy one in the scheme of things?
It's actually a difficult one. Obviously Bobby Labonte just passed Dale Jarrett, but this is really a difficult one because it's kind of slippery. Yeah. Phoenix has a lot of grip, especially since I repaved it. And it's a different configuration, just the front straightaway is straight, and the back straightaway's got some jog to it. But this track right here is kind of difficult.
Bobby Labonte running in 4th spot now. Those fellas are 2 seconds behind the leader, Rusty Wallace.
Seeing Jeff Gordon right now, he's struggling just a little bit, but just about 2 laps ago, he and Jerry Nadeau made contact. Since Ernie Irvan was sitting up here, I kind of looked around and I went, whoa, you had to see that, because Jeff Gordon and Nadeau made contact coming out of turn 4. Jerry Nadeau is suffering from a bad handling car right at the moment.
Well, I've been on the radio. Obviously, I haven't been talking, but I've been listening in. They're not handling all that good. They haven't handled good for, all weekend, and, that's pretty tough. But again, you looked at me and you thought I was in the car hitting Jeff Gordon up.
Oh, we didn't say that one.
I remember here finishing one time, finishing second to Jeff Gordon here. A heck of a race.
But of course, I remember very well that win you had here. What a spectacularly, emotionally pleasing day.
Yeah, it really was. Just being able to, get back in a Winston Cup car, that was an awesome day. But being able to come in and win, that was all a tribute to, Robert Yates and Texaco and all the people that were involved.
You see the 60, Jeffrey Bodine. Remember, he's 14 laps down after problems very early in the day with that spin at lap number 4. And Jeffrey is back in 42nd. That's a good scramble there. That's 10th place. The Earnhardt battle with Jeff Burton.
I think right now Tony Stewart's starting to put some pressure on Rusty Wallace.
Good battles everywhere you watch. What does Jack Roush think about all this?
Well, we're down here with Jack Roush now, Eli. Jack, we had the opportunity earlier today to see some flames belching out of the back of the 99 and the 6. I know that usually indicates you're burning off excess fuel in the pipes. Is that something that could affect your fuel mileage, or have you found a new way of fixing fuel mileage?
No, we're not too concerned about fuel mileage here. I know it worked out to be a factor last time, but it's so hard to pass here. We had to try to maximize the performance of the engine, so we're running the maximum timing and the maximum revs and trying to figure out how to pass the fuel out the tailpipe, which cars have them, a little bit of splash over in the carburetor.
Gentlemen, if you need to know anything that's happening with engines, there's nobody better in this garage here to ask than Jack Roush.
He's the man.
Yeah, he is. And let me tell you who was tuning the carburetor in that very number 99 car this morning was Jack Roush. For all his money, all his teams, all his responsibilities.
Trouble on the back straightaway.
Spinning off against the wall, that is Ricky Craven, who was looking so forward to a good run today. He's now being shown in 29th spot, and caution is out at lap number 112 for the 4th time today, with Ricky Craven ending up against the wall. And who can forget, you know, you talk about this track, Ernie, being a great one when you came back and got the win after your injuries. Remember when Ricky came back and won the Bud Pole here last year?
Oh, man, it was really exciting, you know, just because Ricky, had a great feeling in his heart, and he wanted to Winston Cup race again, and he ended up on the pole.
We've talked about Irvin Simo Racing. We discussed it on the pre-race show today. What is the master plan? How many vehicles in what NASCAR divisions? Where can the folks expect to see you and your involvement over these next few years?
What we really like to do is continue to, advance the Federated Auto Parts team. And, right now we're projecting to run, 12 to 14 Winston Cup races next year. And, hopefully be able to take another team and try to advance with them. And, this is Winston Cup racing is very tough.
Yep.
And a lot of times sponsors don't really realize that. So, right now we think that we're going to try to run a short time schedule because it's too hard to be able to run a full-time schedule right now.
There you see what happened to Ricky Craven as he skids to a halt near the entrance to turn 3. Here's what Robert Presley saw.
Well, that's Craven up against the outside wall. When I looked up, I saw him just going down the back straightaway. It was a one-car incident, I believe.
So, caution on the speedway. Pit stops for some at lap 114. We're back to New Hampshire with more in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. The Dura Lube K-Mart 300 under caution here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Ricky Craven, you saw the replays, having problems going up towards the corner. Riding around under the yellow with the Remington Arms Racing team, Ted Musgrave. He and many others having made pit stops over the last few moments. Ted now lining up in 32nd position. We've got Ernie Irvin alongside. And while we have a chance under caution, why don't we visit now with Glenn Jarrett. He has our tech fact for the day.
Okay, thanks, Eli. Everything in racing has become super computerized and technicalized. Everything is done now with the ultra-modern stuff, except today here in New Hampshire. Let's take a look right over here at the caution lights. You can see them just on the outside of the track as they go into turn 1 there. And right below it, there's a guy with a yellow flag. Now, that is actually a NASCAR official. The problem? They checked the caution lights this morning on the racetrack, and sometimes they worked and sometimes they didn't. So rather than take a chance that they didn't work anytime during the race, NASCAR posted one of their officials out there with a yellow flag. Every time the caution comes out, that guy's out there waving that flag, making sure the guys know that caution is indeed on the racetrack. They took a page from way, way back in the 1920s when Buddy Baker drove.
That is our AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 2,500 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts.
And to Glenn, I will tell you, I had to dodge him many a time when he was sitting right out in the middle of the racetrack.
Hey, there's Jimmy Spencer's car. We haven't talked about the Team Winston entry at all today, and I want to bring it up. He's running in 16th right now. But the team owner, Travis Carter, his brother passed away last week. Tom Carter passed away, and they had a memorial service yesterday. Travis not with us here this weekend, but certainly after his brother battled cancer for quite a while. Everybody's thoughts with that family. And Travis, we know you're watching. We wish you and all the family the very best in this trying time. We look forward to seeing you back at the racetrack next week in Dover. Baker. Wrenchhead.com. Seriously, it is the ultimate online automotive superstore. The only site you need for all of your automotive repair, maintenance, and performance parts. Visit them today. www.wrenchhead.com.
Wrenchhead here, motor mouth there.
Amen.
And I'm between the two of them.
Let's get back to racing.
Rusty, good start there. Dove underneath Musgrave, put Musgrave between himself and the number 20 of Tony Stewart.
Everybody's sorting themselves out on the restart after caution number 4. Rick Mast, LePage, all using every inch of the racetrack.
Whoa, little contact there between Steve Park and the 31 there, Mike Skinner.
Look at that battle right there. 3 wide for the moment. They're battling for 6. You know, Steve Park's really improving. Remember, early in the year, only 1 finish in the top 20 in the first 12 races. Now 9 top 20s in the last 13 races.
Still looking for his first career top 5, and that is long overdue for Steve Park. Having a good run here this afternoon.
Mike Skinner tried to get down. There was contact between the 42 there. Joe Nemechek also with the 31 of Mike Skinner. I'm sure he would like to get to the lower side of the racetrack.
Watch this again, buddy.
Whoa. Well, Dale Jarrett come very close to getting spun around there by Mike Skinner, but there's a contact between the 1 car there and Steve Park.
And you have Rich Bickle there to the inside. This battle now is for 8th. Andretti trying to grab it from Skinner, and he does going into turn number 3. So put Andretti up to 8th. Skinner now in 9th. And here comes the 99, lurking, Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton, and the longer he runs on his tires, the better he gets. He's on the move right up to the front. There's no way to stop that 99 car.
Ernie Irvin, there are just some guys, I guess, who just run these flat, slick racetracks well. Even a guy like Bobby Hamilton says he hates flat, slick racetracks, runs them well, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Jeff Burton's really good on there. But they have been able to communicate real well. There's a pass for the lead, Tony Stewart and Rusty Wallace. But they've been able to communicate real well together and figure out what chassis setup they need when the race starts. And you know, they're real good. They haven't been real good on qualifying on some of these tracks, but they're real good in the race.
And let's give a good call right behind them. Mr. Petty is running so very, very well today.
He really is. You bet he is. He has not had a top 5 since 1997, but he's having a terrific run here this afternoon.
Sitting there in 3rd place. His father used to run him pretty much the same type of race that Kyle's running today. Kind of lays back, makes adjustments on the car when it counts.
Oh, John Andretti and Skinner and Mark Martin. Again, Mark gets hit a second time. Caution with debris and cars all over the corners. Lap 125. The 43, you see him, low of your screen. Andretti. Everybody else pulls away. Mark Martin was kind of like Ernie. He was like the little silver ball in the pinball machine.
Yeah, that wasn't a good sign. You know, obviously this racetrack, it's so slippery. You know, when you come from the bottom and go across in the middle, then a lot of times you can't avoid it.
Look at Jeff Gordon, got banged up extensively there on the right front, right rear.
And, buddy, I'm not even out there.
Oh, Ricky.
And Ricky Rudd also parked up against the wall there. A lot of damage. You can see the steam coming out of the front of the car.
Mark Martin had worked himself back up to 11th. There's David Green in the 45. He was involved.
Well, they've been making comparisons between this racetrack and Martinsville all weekend long. It sure looks like Martinsville with all these cars bent up.
See John Andretti out of the car. That's always a good sign. He was sitting on the door there.
Well, Mark, you wonder if he's ever going to get a break.
So here come the leaders now. Lap number 127 is when Stewart and Wallace and Kyle running in 3rd. Bobby Labonte, Dale Jarrett's in, Steve Park, all the leaders. Let's go to Steve.
and Jeff Burton's in. They made a track bar adjustment. They also cleaned the grill, Eli. They're a little concerned about the water temperature, so Jeff Burton is down and away to Ralph Shaheen.
Steve, they're a little concerned with the 44, the nose of Kyle Petty's machine. He said he got into the back of Rusty Wallace just as everything got a little crazy on the racetrack. They're taking 4 tires of fuel, Glenn.
Okay, Bobby the Bunny just went by. Only took 3 tires. Rusty Wallace is in for 2 with 4 tires and a chassis adjustment. Dale Jarrett's still in, and he is blocked in by Bobby Hamilton. He finally gets out and gets around. But 4 tires for the 2 in the 88. I could not see the 20.
He did come in, obviously, at lap number 127. You see all that debris there. Watch the first contact here. This is for the lead first.
Tony Stewart checked up just a little bit. The 2 car gets into the back of him, and from there on, you see Kyle Petty getting into him.
And at that very moment, right behind them, here was what was happening. Skinner into the back of Andretti, and round they went. Boy, I'll tell you, John took a lick there.
He really did. He backed into it hard. The whole back end of that car is about at the point of the firewall.
I think the problem is here is you're going so fast into that corner, you're braking so hard.
Now you see Mark Martin already spinning. Watch him again.
He gets, wow.
Whoever hit him and then went up on the racetrack.
Let's see what Mark Martin saw. We ride with him now. Let's just listen and see.
Earnhardt got into the back of the 6 car there and turned him around, but it was everybody checking up.
That was David Green in the 45 and got him the second time.
See Jeff Gordon going round and round there right at the tunnel entrance.
And there goes John Andretti's car along with Ricky Rudd on the wrecker as well. So those 2 going to the garage. Ralph, how bad's the damage on Jeff Gordon?
Eli, they're working on the right front right now, trying to make sure that the body work is not rubbing on the tires. They want to try to bring him back around a couple of times. They want to beat the pace car out every time, so they'll bring him in. They think the tow is okay in the car. They're going to go around and catch up to the cars. Glenn?
Okay, Ralph, I said I couldn't see the 20, so I went and asked him what they did. And what they did was put 4 tires on him, filled him up with fuel, made no adjustments. Tony likes the car just the way it is. The only problem they've had today is Tony himself. He's suffering from pretty much of a head cold, and he's not feeling real well. But I tell you what, there's nothing that'll make you feel better than having a race car like you've got that. Steve Burns?
Hey, Glenn, at the top of the show, we talked about how crucial track position is. Well, Jeff Burton came in. They made a track bar adjustment, cleaned off the nose piece, and only took right side tires. So they've moved up on the racetrack again by taking just 2 tires. They're running 8.
So caution on the speedway for the 5th time. The race leader at this moment is Rick Mast. Things can happen in a hurry in New Hampshire. Concessionaires doing a great business here in New Hampshire today. Another guy doing great business today is Rick Mast. He and the Woody Woodpecker team leading right now. Only the 3rd race this year they have led. They led 7 laps at Pocono in June, 5 laps at Pocono in July. But you might remember, those of you who know your NASCAR history, that Rick won the last of his 9 Busch Series wins. Came here back in 1990, started 18th that day, and won in the Busch Series.
Woody and Corny right there in the shot. Woody Woodpecker on the hood there, and Corny on the 5 car of Terry Labonte.
I wonder how many folks know that Corny is the name of that rooster on the Kellogg's Corn Flakes box.
I just let them know.
Exactly. Let's get an update from the Ricky Rudd pit area.
Well, Eli, as we said at the top of the show, good news for Ricky Rudd. At the beginning of the week, he signed with Robert Yates for next year. But right now, it's bad news. The number 10 car sitting in the garage. Ricky, first of all, what happened? Secondly, can you get back out there?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not really sure what's triggered it. We were running like 16th, 17th when it all broke loose there, and everyone's single file. And trouble was, you get out there on a restart, and the lap cars were on the inside, and it just made it pretty slippery as a one-groove racetrack. And somebody slipped, I guess, up there in the front, and when it did, it started a chain reaction. We actually had it miss, slow down, and missed it, and I sort of caught the second wave. I was getting ready to drop it in low gear and accelerate out of there, and somebody came from the bottom to the top. I think it might have been a 45 car, and we got into him.
Heavy damage. Can you get back out?
I don't know. I think it's a little worse than it looks, so we're going to look at it right now. But I lost the steer, and I couldn't steer it, and that's why we had to bring it in on the hook. But they're going to work hard to try to get back out there. But, you know, the point situation is not real good right now. So if it's damaged too bad, we'll just be in everybody's way. We'll probably just park it since it's a one-groove racetrack here today.
All right, back upstairs.
Ricky Rudd won here in '94, his first win as a car owner and driver in Winston Cup racing. Meanwhile, Rick Mast continues to lead under caution in New Hampshire. Today here at New Hampshire International Speedway, Rick Mast is currently the race leader. And interestingly, Rick is the only driver this year to have competed in all 25 races without posting a DNF. He's been running at the finish in every single race this year. One guy who apparently won't be is John Andretti, involved in that accident. He's in the garage.
Yeah, he had a good start to the day, Eli, beginning 15th. But, John, it looks like it's not going to be a very good finish. What happened? Can you get back out?
No, I don't think we're going to be able to get back out. The STB Pontiac got pretty torn up, and it's a real shame. I mean, it's just the way our season's been. It's just, you know, you can't point to any one thing. It's just a lot of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I don't know exactly what happened there. I mean, I know what got me into the wall, but I don't know what created the whole thing, but it's just real disappointing.
The picture and the tone of his voice says it all. Ernie Irvan, we're going to let you get back outside and check on the team and see how things are doing. But thanks for joining us. And, you know, this seat right here is always available to you. Come by anytime.
Well, okay, you know, last time I did that, you know, I did a little bit of commentating. That was a lot of fun. And, you know, I enjoyed it. You know, right now I think it's M&M's time.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
The master salesperson. Good to see you, Ernie. Thanks. Ernie Irvan joining us here in the booth. Glad to have him on board. And, of course, he'll be at the racetracks regularly as the part owner of the Irvin Simo racing team. Ralph, about a half lap from going green.
Eli, they've lots of changes to the 24 car. They have helped to help the car get off the middle of the corner, out of the turns. They have taken some rubbers out of the left rear, and they've taken the Panhard bar down one round. Jeff has been asking for the car to be softened up, and that's what they did to fix it.
He is on the lead lap in 29th position.
He also topped off with fuel just a few moments ago, so he's in good shape on fuel.
Green flag, lap 138. Rick Mast, Terry Labonte, Kevin LePage, Elliott Sadler, Bobby Labonte. That's the top five. There's the Midas wall camera brought to you by Midas. Go safely. Go Midas.
A lot of three wide stuff here. You cannot go into the turns here three wide and come out successfully. You do it down the straightaway. You can't get in the corner that way.
By the way, that is a robot camera. There's no man brave enough to stand where that camera sits.
There's Tony Stewart trying to follow Rusty Wallace through traffic. The 22, Ward Burton. He's in 9th right now, in the mix right there with Rusty and Tony Stewart.
And Kyle Petty running a great run today. He's still right with the 20 car and the 2 car, Rusty Wallace. They've been right together all day long.
There's Kyle, the 44, on the inside of the racetrack.
This could be a couple of great weeks for Kyle Petty. Next weekend it's Dover. That's his very best racetrack out of all of them. And the way he's running here, that team is going to go into Dover with a lot of optimism and a lot of pride.
There he is in the 44. Last time Kyle had a top 5 finish was at Dover in September of '97. That stacked up the world right there.
The reason things really scrambled around, as you well know, is some cars stopped on pit stops in and some did not. So you have people up front right now that are looking for track position, not necessarily making a pit stop to take on new tires and all, like these guys as they battle back towards the front.
That was the change for the lead. You saw Terry Labonte go around Rick Mast. So Mast will lead from 128 through 139, and Terry Labonte will take over the top spot at lap number 140.
Just coming with us, Labonte involved in an earlier incident. Look at the left side of his race car as the camera picks it up. Pretty well torn up from that early race crash, but he has come back to lead this event here at New Hampshire with the Kellogg Chevrolet.
As you're talking about that, the important part is all the damage is behind the front wheel there. You can see it's pushed in pretty well, but the part that meets the air in the front part of the race car is happening good.
Yes, that car ate its cornflakes this morning, huh? Still running after being beaten up as badly as that. But, you know, you look at this field go by this afternoon, and it seems like the majority of cars have got some kind of mark on them from some kind of altercation, either with a wall or another car.
Here's trouble again off the corner.
Skinner in it.
Skinner was there, and a host of others. Jeff Gordon there limping through.
Mike Skinner's got tremendous amount of damage to the right front corner. Also looks like the sway bar may be broken on the left front. I can see a piece of metal hanging straight down.
That's Hut Strickland's car. The Federated Auto Parts machine nose in at the turn 2 corner. Kenny Wallace, who had a great run here, spun first, actually. He was the guy who went around first. If our quick look at it out of the corner of the eye is true, looked like he went around as the first one, and then everybody else kind of followed through. We'll see if we can take a look up in the corner. Let's watch together. There's Kenny on the inside. Let's see.
Yeah, there's Kenny right there. He's getting very loose there. Just behind him, Hut Strickland. You can see him making contact there. Mike Skinner on the flat part of the racetrack down there. Nowhere to go.
Yeah, Kenny broke loose first, and then the other guys got caught up. There's Jeff Gordon really woeing it down. Again, Hut Strickland and Skinner to the inside. Kenny Wallace to the outside. Look at Kenny Irwin going way wide. And Gordon just stomping on those brakes for all they're worth.
Oh, Gordon got by that without hitting anybody. Good job to be able to do that.
So caution at 142 for the 6th time today. Now pit stops. Those who did not stop earlier, most of the leaders are coming in. Schrader is in. Martin is in. Skinner and Gordon. Bill Elliott is in. Here comes Hut Strickland in for service. Kenny Wallace in for extensive repairs. Ralph Shaheen.
Jeff Gordon said that it's just not my day today over the radio. He felt like he lit the tires up. Ray Evernham told him to bring the car down. Jeff thought he lit him up in the grass. But Ray said, look, we're the last car in the lead lap. Let's put new tires on it. Jeff said, otherwise, outside of that, the car is good.
Of course, the last 4 finishes that Jeff Gordon has had here was a win, third, a win, and third. So this day's not over for him.
No, and he's going for 3 in a row for this fall event as well. And they did a press release just before this event. They made a big deal out of all the 3s that Jeff Gordon has accumulated here.
I guess it's just frustrating, though, Glenn, when Gordon fell from 4th to 6th in the points after last Saturday's race at Richmond. I guess for him, it's not where he's used to being.
No, that's exactly right, Eli. And he had kind of a bad run qualifying. He really thought the car would be better in qualifying, and it got him way back in the pack to begin with. But I tell you what, by my count, I have yet to see Jeff Gordon crack the top 10 today, and we're almost halfway through the race. I can't remember the last time that I have ever seen that, but Gordon hadn't been in the top 10 yet. Steve Burns?
Hey, Glenn, we heard Jeff Burton radio in after that last caution. He told the crew, I've hit everything but the New Hampshire lottery today on the racetrack. But the team has gone to work down here. They've got some extra screening. They're now cutting it, measuring it. They're going to try and replace that on the next pit stop on the front, on the nose piece of the 99 to keep rubber and other debris off the radiator to keep it from overheating. Right now, he says the water temperature is okay on short runs, but it is a concern here in the pit area of the 99. Jeff Burton.
If you're just joining us, the field getting the 1 to go signal to wrap up the 6th caution of the day. Rusty Wallace led the first 52 laps, then Tony Stewart led 40. Steve Park led a lap, as did Nemechek. Then Rusty Wallace led again, followed by Tony Stewart, Rick Mast, and now Terry Labonte, as we are getting set to go back to work here at New Hampshire International Speedway. We've had our own thrill zone going here at New Hampshire this afternoon. Little beating, little banging, little bumping and running. And the leader, Terry Labonte, just picking his way through race traffic. 99, Jeff Burton, like a master craftsman, picking his way in and around some of the slower machines. He's now up to 5th.
Eli, that might be the only car that I've really watched go into traffic and pass 3 wide in the middle of the corner. That car is like glue in the middle part of the corner, sticking right down any place he puts it.
Started way in the back, track. They had a poor qualifying run. They were 2 miles an hour slower qualifying than they had been in practice. That stuck them all the way back in 37th, but it's a good car.
Riding with Ted Musgrave as we are a half lap away from the halfway point. There you see Napa bringing you NASCAR timing and scoring. Napa keeps America running.
Musgrave with a new crew chief this weekend. Greg Eli takes over as crew chief. There have been 19 teams this year that have changed crew chiefs since Daytona. You wonder about pressure? That's a good indication.
Halfway here in New Hampshire, riding with Bobby Labonte, looking rearward towards Brett Bodine's machine. Bobby Labonte is in 8th. Brett is a lap down in 31st. There's Kyle Petty working his way through traffic again. Kyle is 10th right now in the 44. One of the few guys able to pull away and make an inside pass on Tony Stewart.
And really going right down the middle now. Sterling Marlin in the 40 there. They were 3 wide there as they went down the straightaway. Stewart got the position back. Look at Earnhardt getting in there and start to gouge.
Well, this is his kind of deal. I mean, let's face it, this is the kind of racing Earnhardt grew up on. This is the kind of racing he loved. And let me remind you of one more thing. This new Goodyear tire is a bit looser than the old tire, and there was never anybody better on a loose race tire than the man in number 3. This tire suits Earnhardt's style beautifully.
Good point. Good point. Todd Bodine just brushed the wall out of turn 4 seconds ago, but no telltale damage as we look out on the track and check his race car. You ride with Tony Stewart right now. Jimmy Spencer in the 23. He's in 14th.
What were you just thinking?
That's an awesome sight right there. When you look in the mirror and see that 3 back there, you know that guy right there is not happy if he's not leading the race. He's trying to get to the front right now. As a matter of fact, 2 or 3 times, he's really avoided getting into the back of 20 of Tony Stewart by running higher in the center part of the corner, or he would have collected it.
It is the stuff that's happened in the last few weeks on a driver's mind. Seriously, buddy. I mean, he took all the heat of the deal for Bristol. He's made contact with leaders, this, that, and the other. He had the touch with Dale Jarrett. Is that at all on his mind, saying, hey, if I do it again, the wrath of the world will be down on me?
Eli, you can't do that. You have to go into every event. Every event's different. Things are different right now. He's not going for the lead right now. He's taking his time through traffic. He's not being overly aggressive, I don't think. There, it was a chance for him to win. He went in the corner. I think he meant to chunk him just a little bit, and he got into him harder than he wanted to. But that's not what Earnhardt went in the race to do, to wreck anyone.
Let's face it, he has always driven hard. It's what got him where he is today, and I just can't imagine Dale Earnhardt doing anything other than driving hard every single lap. It's his style.
I'll still never forget it, and we talked about it every time we come here with that great finish in the Busch race in '92 with he and Joe Nemechek. Wasn't that great?
Yeah.
Side by side they went. Dale could have taken Nemechek out and put him in the wall, let him save the car, and battled on to the checkers. And Dale finished second.
Yeah, we were talking about Dale Earnhardt really liking this tire, but Tony Stewart must like it pretty well, too, because he's moving away from Earnhardt just a little bit.
I think anybody that likes a little bit of a loose race car is going to like this tire. Dale Jarrett has done very well on it as well. And boy, how well things have gone for Dale Jarrett this year. I mean, you just think about it. It started out horribly at Daytona, upside down there, but remember Pocono when the clutch went out and he still finished in the second spot? Remember last week at Richmond when the clutch went out in Jeff Gordon's car? He didn't finish at all.
Dale Jarrett, 22 career wins, 23rd on the all-time win list. Well, we're watching Earnhardt, Ralph, and I'll tell you, we talk about him and all, but he's in 11th. Maybe bypassed by Johnny Benson right here for 12th. So the car's not ideal. Could even lose that spot and does to Dale Jarrett. So it's not a great handling car now for Dale.
No, Eli, actually, this is a car that Dale had intended to run at the Brickyard. In fact, on the passenger side and inside and the back end of the car are some fake bricks that the crew put in there for fun since they figured it would be the Brickyard car. Dale ended up not taking it there, just running it here instead.
we have an advantage they don't have in the pits. If you guys could see what we just seen, you would have stopped talking just for a second. Earnhardt almost got in the back of Johnny Benson then. It was within inches.
Dale is running in 13th spot right now as things settle down at lap number 160. The little calling card rattling the old cage just a little bit. Up front, though, it's Terry Labonte by a half second. There you see the spread from Terry on the left to Rick Mast on the right. They're running first and second. Good crowd. Great day. Glad you're with us.
Happening here today, Eli. Smoke pouring out of the backside of the car. They asked Kyle if there was something that he could tell from the smell. He said, I have no idea. There's a lot of stuff pouring out of the back of the car. Kyle said, I want to get in before I wreck any of my fellow competitors out here. So they're taking a look underneath the hood. They're looking under the backside of the car. No word yet as to what it is that's causing the smoke.
He was up to third at one point. Most recently, he was running eighth, and all of a sudden we saw a little wisp of smoke, and then within a lap, it really intensified to the problems that you see right there. There is no caution. We're staying under green. Meanwhile, riding with Bobby Labonte, he made a pass moments ago to get around Rusty Wallace to grab sixth.
Right down on the bottom of the racetrack, Rusty pushes up just a little bit, and Bobby just goes right by him on the bottom side of the racetrack. Bobby Labonte's car is very good. He said it was good before the race. They made some adjustments during the race, and he seems to be on his way right to the front.
All of this action taking place at lap 166. The leader is Bobby's brother Terry Labonte, half a second on Rick Mast. 88 Labonte, 88 Jarrett just making a move around LePage. That'll be 9th spot right there. That changes hands. Who's quickest to the lot right now?
Yeah, I think I was watching Dale Jarrett, and he may be the quickest car out there. He got tied up with some traffic just a second ago, but I've been watching him over the last 5 or 6 laps, and he has really turned it up in that car. He's gone by several cars that were running much better than him not long ago, so they made some good adjustments on that car.
If you're just joining us, we are past halfway. We're at lap 167. In the garage area, Ricky Craven, John Andretti, Ricky Rudd, and David Green all involved in accidents today. And Kyle Petty still on pit road with a lot of smoke from behind the car. And it's just a matter of time, one would assume, before they push into the garage. Ralph, what have you found out?
Well, it looks like an oil line for Kyle Petty. The one that would be the oil pressure line is what they're looking at. And they're checking all of those hoses right now.
So the repairs continue. Meanwhile, caution on the speedway. Problems on the back straightaway. Look out. Todd Bodine tagged that wall, got caught up in traffic, and at lap 170, we will have caution. And again, they were bragging on him earlier today. The crew said how great it is, how well Todd's working out. Of course, no guarantees for the future, buddy, but they were excited.
Well, they should be. He's done a great job in that car. He's given them a lot of response as far as what they need to do to the car to make it more competitive. You can see a lot of damage there. Bottom side of the car dragging, a little bit of fire there underneath it. Left front not even turning. So there's a lot of damage on that car.
Caution on the speedway. We'll check out the replays for you as soon as we come back. Terry Labonte's the race leader. The other teams, though, ready to make some changes. We'll have it for you. And as promised, let's check out the replays and see what brought about this 7th caution of the day involving Todd Bodine. He did impact the wall, middle of the backstretch.
Yeah, you see a group of cars coming off. That's Todd Bodine as he gets into the fence there. But I would speculate somebody touched him. That's a place there coming out turn 2. If somebody really got near you and touched you, you're going to spin. Jeff Gordon barely getting by, and Mike Skinner also. He was very lucky he didn't get hit after he come back across the racetrack.
It's already started. We're looking now from Mark Martin's point of view. Bodine in the wall. Mark Martin goes to the low side to avoid it.
All the leaders made their pit stop seconds ago. This is on videotape. Everybody came in. No major problems or surprises. See how they came streaming off the pit lane, and you see exactly how your favorite is aligned.
Boy, Rusty Wallace had a great pit stop. He beat everybody back off pit road, but the 20 of Tony Stewart, I noticed, was pretty far back in their running order when he come back out of the pits.
Tony's in 13th. That was Todd's car being pushed to the garage. We're back to green as it waves now at New Hampshire International. Dale Jarrett, the leader at lap 174. Of course, Jarrett, one of the few who chose not to come in. And by virtue of that, he assumed the lead. Glenn, why'd you rather stay out?
Well, they couldn't make it the rest of the way on fuel, and his buddy said that was the best that he had run all day. He was running the quickest laps on the racetrack. Rusty Wallace came in, took 2. The reason Tony Stewart's so far back, he took 4.
And that explains all the doings on pit road.
And how do you say 5-point bonus?
Yeah.
He just got it. He led that lap and got his 5-point bonus for leading the race. Look at this, side by side, the 2 car there of Wallace and Earnhardt really battling right now for second spot.
It's been a while since we've seen this view, but it's a fun view to see when those 2 guys get battling side by side for position.
Earnhardt just drove her deep down in the corner. You see Rusty right now being overtaken by Bobby Labonte in the green car there.
On the high side yet.
And he gets in line, Wallace does, just ahead of Schrader. Bobby Labonte, interesting pit stop, Ralph.
They sure did, Eli. They came in, took 4 tires of fuel, but they dropped the air pressure in the rear tires to get more forward bite to help Bobby out the corners.
Forward bite.
Yep, when you get back on the throttle, if it'll hook up and really run off the corner straight instead of trying to slide out on you. It's so important on this flat track. You can see if you start out, he's getting great forward bite there. You can see Earnhardt's car trying to slide out just a little bit. Bobby Labonte's car running straight line off the corner.
And Steve, how about Jeff Burton? He's right now in 10th, kind of sitting there in the middle of all that pack of traffic.
Yeah, a couple of updates, Eli. Last stop, they took 2 tires. This time, they took 4 tires and made a track bar adjustment. I asked one of the crew members. They said the water temperature is fine. They're not concerned about overheating at this point. Also, Elliott Sadler, 4 tires and a track bar adjustment. They were running 3rd, but went out on the track 12th.
We're at lap 177, riding with Stewart. Goes by Brett Bodine.
Wow.
Gordon and Musgrave.
How would you like to have your hand between those 2 in the center of the corner?
That's not for position. Gordon is 11th. Musgrave's a lap down in 31st there in car 75.
And for the record, they're running about 125 miles an hour here.
Tony Stewart coming off the corner there. Look at this battle for second, though. Bobby Labonte now trying to get by Earnhardt as they head down into turn 1.
Earnhardt's got that second spot. Oh, and Bobby almost lost it. Did you see the car kick out?
He went way up there.
And that wasn't anything to do with forward bite. That was loose getting in by driving too far into the corner and losing a grip going through the corner.
Wallace goes by. You saw Rick Mast go by. He's now just ahead of Bobby.
These long straightaways, I asked a couple of the drivers why they don't shift at the end of the straightaway so they could get a little bit more going into the corner. And they pretty much universally said, if we went any faster going into the corners, we'd never make it through the corners.
Good point.
They said, Doc, you stick to the sprint cars. We'll do this.
Yeah, you don't have to back off on those. Just run wide open. Well, they got rev limiters in these things, though, and that keeps the engine from getting too many RPMs.
Here's a piece of trivia, guys. If Dale Earnhardt hangs up there in the top 10, and there he is now in second, feeling the heat of Rusty, if he finishes in the top 10, it would be his 400th time to finish in the top 10 in his career, and he'd be only the 3rd guy to have earned 400 or more top 10s in their Winston Cup career. Do you know who the other guys are? Let the fans think about it. Folks at home, think about it a while. 2 guys right now have 400 or more top 10 finishes in their careers. And if Earnhardt gets one here today or whenever, he'd be the 3rd, only the 3rd to do so.
I think I know.
Who do you think?
I would say Darrell Walker for one. How about Cale Yarborough? Oh, my.
3 for a quarter. Want to try again?
I know Richard Petty. I mean, that's
everybody knows
obvious.
Richard Petty. The other one is a tough one. Bobby Allison. DA has 440 top 10 finishes. Whoa. Richard Petty has 693. And look at that scramble right there, Rick Mast and Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt's car absolutely goes away on him after about 10 laps. Right now, he's pedaling towards the back right now. 3 cars got by him just a second ago. You can see him. He's totally out of it right now.
All on the bottom. He can't keep the car down on the racetrack.
Earnhardt's in 4th. Labonte trying to grab it away. That's Terry.
Terry will just drive right by him going in the corner. Earnhardt knows he has a hammer problem. Oh!
All these cars get a little squirrely now.
All eyes turn to those two when they go in the corner side by side.
Joe Nemechek now trying to make the move on Earnhardt. That's for 7th spot. Dale just backsliding now. Here comes the 99 Burt.
You know, Kenny Schrader's all the way up to 6th spot right now.
Meanwhile, we were curious as to what happened to Todd Bodine as you watch Jeff Burton now try and grab the spot away from Earnhardt. Todd's down in the garage area. Let's find out what happened there on the backstretch.
Eli, he's just climbed out of the race car. Todd, what happened? What put you out?
Well, it's just a racing deal. Nobody's fault. Schrader got in the back of me. Waller was pushing the issue a little bit to get by. I slid up and he got under me, and I tried to get back down the line, and evidently there wasn't enough room, and Schrader got in the back of me. Just one of those things that happens. It's a tight, short track, good racing. I tell you, it's a shame we had a possible top 10 going here. We had a really good car. Barry was making all the right adjustments. Good pit stops. The crew's been working hard on that. Jimmy Dean car was running good. It's a shame we couldn't be out there.
Todd Bodine's done for the day, guys.
Barry, of course, is Barry Dodson. And, buddy, we couldn't see it, but you were right. You guessed that somebody touched him.
Well, normally you don't spin off that corner unless there's something wrong. You have a pretty straight run out of there, but if somebody touches you, the back of the car is very, very light getting out of turn 2.
Todd was 16th at the time of the accident. There's your race leader, Dale Jarrett, took over the top spot at lap 171. He's got his bonus points. Now he's setting sail. Caution number 1. Jeffrey Bodine spins, bouncing off Wally Donovan back in the world, goes around behind him. At lap 10, a few moments thereafter, Dave Marcus spun after he too made contact with another car. Lap 94 was Kevin LePage's turn, and at lap 125, John Andretti and many others tangled in 1 and 2. Lap 142, Kenny Wallace spun, and those are just 5 of the 7 cautions. This is the last one. Todd Bodine out of the corner, into the wall, and we had yet another yellow. But through it all, Dale Jarrett continues as the race leader. He is, at this stage of the day, one of the handful of leaders who have shown the way. Rusty Wallace, Tony Stewart, Steve Park, Joe Nemechek, Rick Mast, Terry Labonte, and now Dale Jarrett. So you're up to speed. Those in the garage are Ricky Craven, John Andretti, David Green, and Todd Bodine. Hey, watch what happened while we were in a commercial break.
Rich Bickle there in the 9 gets chunked just a little bit by Jeff Gordon. Very lucky to hang on to that number 9 car.
This was the pass for second.
Not much there. I mean, Rusty looked down. Bobby Labonte had the position, just moved right on by him. Looking at Bobby just going around here having a great time.
I wouldn't want to do it. It looks effortless. But it's not. Look at this. 3.2 seconds now from first place back to second. That's what it looks like here at the New Hampshire track.
Somebody must have scared Dale Jarrett. He's really got on the pedal there. He moved right away from these guys. He's got it going pretty well now. The car looks like it's having him pretty well. The only match for him out there right now, I think, is Bobby Labonte, and he had a little struggle getting up through the pack here.
DJ's got a 3.2-second lead on Labonte and just effortlessly running very, very smoothly, very well out there. As we watch Tony Stewart, Earnhardt go at it for 9th.
Tony Stewart had a bad pit stop, and he dropped all the way back to 17th place, and now he's battling his way back towards the front again.
We saw Jeff Gordon there. Little glimpse of him. He's in 11th spot right now with a very badly beaten up race car. There he is.
Stewart, Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, 9th, 10th, and 11th. MCI WorldCom bringing you NASCAR timing and scoring in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Riding again with Bobby Labonte. And now Tony Stewart.
And they are first and second in miles completed, believe it or not, in the whole Winston Cup circuit. Both cars owned by Joe Gibbs. First and second in miles completed. That's a testimony both to drivers and to crew preparation.
Earnhardt's in 10th, Ralph.
Eli, I spoke to crew chief Kevin Hamill about the car. He says it's very, very loose. Now, they only took 2 tires on their last pit stop, but he says it's not a problem with the tires. He said just their chassis setup is way too loose today.
Dale Earnhardt has never won here, nor in Texas, nor in California. Watkins Glen. That's basically it.
And 73 times you'd think he'd won everywhere, but there are certain racetracks that just give you a little more problems than others.
Well, he's come close here. He's finished second in the Busch Series races here, and he's been second twice in Winston Cup as well, just never won one.
There's the interval back to the 18, Bobby Labonte. Then from him, 1.2 seconds back to that man, Rusty Wallace. Well, they are 4. Rusty is now 4 7/10 behind Dale Jarrett. Then you've got Bobby Labonte and Rick Mast in 4th and 5th. We're working the middle stages of the Dura Lube K-Mart 300. Everybody's settling down for the moment after 7 caution periods. The point leader is the race leader. Check out NASCAR online before the races, during, after the races, anytime throughout the week. www.nascar.com, your 24-hour NASCAR Garage Pass, and truly it's updated all the time. It has every bit of the latest NASCAR news, not just the top series, but all of the NASCAR Touring Series. Check it out. And by the way, you know the holiday season's not that far away. You can see the holidays from here. NASCAR Thunder stores are open all across the country. Great place for you to swing on by and get those special NASCAR gifts you might be needing. For locations and more information, just call the number you see on the screen. That number operational Monday through Friday. You'll find out where the nearest NASCAR Thunder store is to you.
Happy holidays.
That used to be a heck of a song. There's Dale Jarrett. 3.7 of a second. 3.7 is the advantage. On second place, Bobby Labonte. There he is right there. Then it is 2 full seconds back to Rusty Wallace. There those 2 seconds are. So first, second, third separated by 5.7 seconds. Here comes Terry Labonte now. He is 6.9 behind the race leader. Then you work yourself back through some race traffic. That'll be Sterling Marlin right there. He's in 28th, being shown a lap down. Then you come to Tony Stewart. He's 9.2 behind the leader, running in 5th spot. Tony on the lead lap. Right behind him, Joe Nemechek, then Jeff Burton. They are in 6th and 7th place, respectively. Again, a goodly distance behind the leader. They're 9 and 10 seconds back. Schrader, the 33, he's running in 8th place. He's 11 seconds behind the leader. Then Dale Earnhardt, he is in 9th, all on the lead lap, 11 and a half back. Rick Mast in the 98, he's running in 10th, 11.9 behind. Then Jeff Gordon, he's in the 11th position, 12.1 seconds back. Elliott Sadler, he's running in 12th. Still on the lead lap. Then you've got Johnny Benson. He'll be way back there. He comes pivoting into the picture. The 26 is Benson. He's now 16 behind the leader. And the 9 right there, running in 29th spot, that is Rich Bickle. He is a lap down. He's completed 206 of the 207. Chad Little is the number 97 car now. He too is finding himself a lap down. He's in 30th position. Kenny Wallace, after extensive repairs, 8 laps down and 34th. He was involved in that caution earlier in the day, you might remember. Has the modified look on his car. Then you've got others working through traffic. 11 is Brett Bodine. He's in 31st, a lap down. The 7 is Michael Waltrip. He's on the lead lap in 14th, 21 seconds back. Skinner, the 31. Hamilton in the 4. The 1 of Park. They are all on the lead lap. 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. The 23 of Spencer, also on the lead lap right now. And here comes Wally Dallenbach. He, too, being shown on the lead lap. Then you drop further back to Kevin LePage in the 16 car. He's in 20th place. The 44 is Kyle Petty. Remember, he had that oil line problems. He is 9 laps down, running on the racetrack in 35th. Kenny Irwin, he's in 21st spot, a lap behind the race leader. The 58 is Hut Strickland. He, too, is a lap down in 22nd. Then you've got Ted Musgrave in the 32nd spot, car number 75. Bill Elliott is in the 94. He's running 23rd. He is being shown a lap down. The 12 is Jeremy Mayfield. He's 16 back in 38th position. Jeffrey Bodine, after problems early in the day, he is now 17 laps behind in 36th. As the field then cycles its way back towards Mark Martin, he is a lap down in 24th position at this stage of the day. You've not seen Ward Burton. There he is. He's in 25th and also a lap back, so he and Mark Martin battling for position. Others on the racetrack at this stage include the 14 of Randy LaJoy. He had some brake problems earlier in the Federated Auto Parts car. We ride with Randy LaJoy right now, being shown on the racetrack in 37th place. Looking back behind him, Dave Marcus in the 71. Dave is now a lap down, almost 2 down, because here comes the leader, Dale Jarrett. Marcus is in 26th. And now we'll go 2 laps down. So that's the whole field, with the exception of the 36 right there, Jerry Nadeau. Nadeau is a couple of laps down in 32nd position. The 77 is Robert Presley. We've not talked about him. He has got a lap down right now in 27th position. So let's see how he's doing. Haven't checked on his numbers lately. Brakes pretty hard down to 91 miles an hour there in the corner.
5,400 RPM as he starts down the straightaway. You'll see the RPMs come up around 84, 8,500. Well, how about 83?
So you've seen everybody on the racetrack. The others are in the garage. Ricky Craven, John Andretti, Ricky Rudd, David Green, and Todd Bodine. Their days are done. Remember, folks, that when the other leaders pitted at lap 169, Dale did not. As a result, he inherited the lead, but we've got to be coming up real close on a pit stop for him. He came in at lap 127. Remember, these laps are a bit over a mile. Yep, here he comes. You knew he had to be darn near the end of his fuel cell. And Glenn, that's going to hand the lead to another brother. It'll be Bobby Labonte taking over the top spot.
Yeah, DJ had stretched that thing as far as he could. The one reason they stayed out is he and Todd Parrott were in a pretty heavy discussion as to how many tires they were going to change, whether it would be 2 or 4. It looks like that it's going to be a 4-tire change. They peeled the cover off the windshield.
Caution.
We got caution.
Oh, boy.
Michael Waltrip is in the wall hard. Dale Jarrett is on the pit lane. This is at lap number 219. Let's go back to Glenn.
Yeah. All right, Eli. Dale heard the caution on the radio, and he took off and ran over the air hose, so they're going to bring him back in.
Oh, it's going to be costly. Costly. Oh, Michael used up that race car.
Yeah, that thing's really damaged. You can see the left side there hard into the wall. You can see concrete dust all in the wheels there.
They've had a tough ride. This is 8 out of the last 15 races. They've had problems of one kind or another. Transmissions, engines, crashes.
He was in 25th at the time of the accident. So Jarrett was caught on pit road, then goes over the air hose. And for those of you who are new to NASCAR, that is an infraction. You cannot run over the air hose. So he'll be coming back in. Let's take a look at what happened here. Everything happened at once. Watch here now. He'll hear on his headset from a spotter that Michael has just hit the wall. You see the air hose there in front. They say caution. The jack falls. Air hose still on the ground. That'll cost you.
Well, the fact that the jack dropped, that's the sign to go.
Let's go to Steve Burns.
Hey, Eli, Terry Labonte's in. Oh, just 2 tires, right sides for Terry Labonte, and he's away.
Ralph Shaheen.
Bobby Labonte is in for 4 tires of fuel. He is asking to have the track bar lowered 1 round, which is just a 1/4 inch. Glenn?
And Dale Jarrett comes back in for the other side tire. Tony Stewart was in and took 2 tires. Dale Jarrett is down and away. Tony Stewart took on 4. Dale Jarrett took the 2 left sides. He did not get last time by.
So everybody is in at lap 221 of 300 as caution comes out at lap 220 when Michael Waltrip hit the turn 4 wall. Dale Jarrett's number being posted again. An update in a moment. Change of storylines here. A 1-lap penalty has just been assessed to Dale Jarrett for pitting out of the pit box. That is a written NASCAR rule. Even if you are blocked in by another car in the area, it is your responsibility to get your car into your pit box. If you do not do that, it is a 1-lap penalty. So Dale Jarrett goes from being a leader with 3.5 seconds of a lead over Bobby Labonte to now over a lap down. Here's what the caution was all about. You see near the middle of your screen, that was Michael Waltrip.
That's Michael Waltrip right up there into the wall. Hard in there with the left side of the car. We don't know. It was a little far away for me to tell what really set it off.
Now here's the first incident again. If you're just coming back from the fridge, the first problem that Jarrett had was when Michael hit the wall. He gets the word right there. The jack goes down and the air hose gets caught. So they have to bring him back in for a penalty. Now watch here. Wait for the 88 to come in and you'll see because of Tony Stewart and Hamilton, he has to kind of wedge in. But he's out of the box.
He's way out of the box.
Yeah, no doubt.
That yellow line right there is the outside of the box, about halfway down through the middle part of the car.
The team owner, Robert Yates, not real happy, but that was a clear rules infraction, the 1-lap penalty. So Jarrett will now be in 26th, and he will be, at this stage, 1 lap down, but a long, long way behind.
And only 75 laps to go to make it up. He has got a lot of work to do and not much time in which to do it.
Well, what he has to do right now is have a little patience. I know he's aggravated, but he has that mindset with the big picture is what he's after. I'm sure he's going to take his time and try to get back in the lead lap, but I don't think he's going to do anything stupid by trying too hard and maybe causing a wreck.
Boy, Kyle Petty there wiggling. He got hit in the back end.
Remember Kyle had a great run going earlier that had the oil line problem. Puts him 8 laps down now. Kyle's in 34th. Bobby Labonte is in 3rd. Oh, and there goes Stewart around him. So that changes quickly
You wouldn't
enough.
have made a very good driver, I don't think, Eli. You do a lot of hollering, but you wouldn't do much steering. You hollered, but you never turned your hands. I was turning my hands.
You want to ride in a rental car with Baker. He uses his feet for the brakes, too, I'll tell you.
Well, anybody would when they ride with you.
Remember, the point lead was 270 for Dale Jarrett coming in. And that was over Mark Martin, you'll remember. So as they run right now, you'd see Martin drop a position and close in just a bit. But we've still got plenty of racing. We're only at lap 227 of 300.
See Tony Stewart right now trying to work his way back. Kyle Petty right there was one of the lead cars most of the days for some of you guys that are just joining us right now, but he had a problem with an oil line and lost several laps. So the car was good enough maybe to even bring a victory to him, but right now he's laps down.
That's the battle for the lead. Terry Labonte has it. And Joe Nemechek, who has only led 4 events this year, wants to grab a piece of it. Nemechek led 4 laps at Atlanta, a lap at Talladega, 4 laps at Daytona for the Pepsi, and then a lap a week or so ago, a couple of weeks back at Darlington.
And I talked to him yesterday. Nemechek is out of this ride at the end of the year. Yesterday he told me he does not yet have anything firm for year 2000. Well, every car owner watching this knows this guy can run well, and here is good proof of his ability.
Terry kind of slides up. He's going to take the lead, it looks like.
Nemechek for the lead.
Oh, Terry kind of powers back down the straightaway, about a half a turn that lead. And now, going in the corner, it won't be much of a fight. Nemechek leads.
A NASCAR Busch Series winner here at New Hampshire, now leading in Winston Cup competition with 70 laps to go. Lap 230, it slops around.
What a story it would be if Nemechek could win this thing here at New Hampshire this afternoon in the Bell South Chevrolet.
That little piece dragging behind his bumper there is not anything to worry about. It's almost a rubber content, the rear bumper on these cars. That's a little tear in that, so it's not a problem.
Hey, Ralph, you know that Joe hasn't had a top 5 since April of last year at Texas?
Eli, he really could use this, as you folks pointed out upstairs in the booth, looking for that new ride next year. As he took the lead, the crew over the radio said, Mr. Nemechek, this race is now yours to win or lose. Steve Burns?
Well, Ralph, the same situation for Terry Labonte, because if this race stays green, we are done with pit stop. We'll talk with Andy Graves, the crew chief. They put 2 tires on Terry Labonte's car and made a track bar adjustment on that last stop. So again, if it stays green, it's all up to the driver.
That's the way it ought to be, too. I'd like to see that as they come down the stretch.
Oh, look at this.
3 wide.
4 wide.
Spencer.
I knew one that wasn't going to back off, and he's leading that right now.
Back. Earnhardt comes out of there with the 10th spot. Schrader grabs 11th in the 33. Rick Mast will grab 12th. Skinner's going to grab 13th away from Spencer, possibly there in the corner.
There's 2 tough race car drivers.
Mike Skinner's been involved in 3 accidents today. Done a lot of damage to the front of the car, and is still flying around this racetrack.
They weren't even optimistic this morning about their chances today. They thought the car was not very good at all. Made a lot of changes, threw about everything at it that they had. This is fun. Skinner on the inside. Spencer on the outside.
Bobby Hamilton there in the 4 car. Hadn't been a great day for him. He thought he had a car maybe that would win the race, but he has had a tough day.
There goes Spencer in 13th. Sayonara. Everybody goes by to the inside. Steve Park now closing in. He's an 18th spot, trying to grab the position away. Ted Musgrave in the middle of all that, though Ted's in 30th spot. He's a couple of laps back.
Coming on the inside.
You heard them say they're coming to the inside. Kenny Irwin in the Texaco car. Ward Burton in the Cat machine. Ward led lap 222. That was the choir tuning up.
Yes, it was. Kenny Irwin Jr. right under Bodine. Bodine rolls out the throttle and lets him go right on by on the bottom side.
There's Joe Nemechek. His best finish here at New Hampshire and Winston Cup was 13th back in 1997. His wife Andrea rooting him on. Out there, there's a new champion of 4x4 off-road racing available now from ASC Games. It's called TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat. It makes its debut on Sega Dreamcast as the gear-grinding, rough and rugged racing excitement comes to life on your screen on TNN Motorsports Hardcore Heat. It's available now. Buddy Baker, Dick Berggren, I'm Eli Gold. The pit crew today is Glenn Jarrett, Ralph Shaheen, Steve Burns. Look at that. That's for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Great scramble on the racetrack. And watch what happened moments ago as well.
Tony Stewart under Terry Labonte as they start out of the corner there. Side by side, Tony just rockets up that straightaway. He's got a great car. You talk about forward bite. That was a good, for instance.
And look who's right there. The 21, the Citgo machine for the Wood brothers. Elliott Sadler, a spectacular day for him from a 35th start. And think about it. The Wood brothers, got to go back in the history books a bit. 1995, Morgan was behind the wheel. Morgan Shepherd, they finished 2nd here. And in 9 Winston Cup races here, the Woods have 3 top 10 finishes. So they've done all right here, buddy.
Yeah, and I talked to Mike Bean today, and he said, we really have a great car. And then I talked to some of the Wood brothers themselves, and they said, go figure. We're normally messed up. Everybody else is pretty good. Here, we're good, and everybody else is pretty well messed up. And they were right. This car is running well. And I think if you'll take a good shot of that 21, and races to come, he's a rookie right now, but he will be a main factor in years to come.
Plus, Steve Elliott's got a good bit of experience here from the NASCAR Busch Series. That's got to help.
Yeah, he does. And Eli, this team has been in the top 5 most of the day. Mike Beam, the crew chief, great performance for Elliott Sadler and your team.
do that last stop kind of gamble there. We got behind the scores. You know, we can come out here to the top 10 and have a good day. You know, the Sitco cars really ran well. Pickering's done a good job. Everyone has. And, you know, we really needed this, so hopefully it'll be a good day.
There's a good scramble right there, albeit not for position. Remember, Dale Jarrett lost a lap earlier with the penalty. He's at 26th spot right now. The 21 of Elliott Sadler is in 5th position. Now, it's not the same, they tell me. Of course, I've not driven a race car, but they tell me that in a BGM car, you kind of let it roll through the corners. Here, you really have to drive it through the corners, but track familiarity's got to mean something.
Well, Busch Grand National is about 15 miles an hour difference getting into the corner, so it changes the corner, the way you go into it. If you drive a car with 750 horsepower as deep as you do a Busch Grand National car, you wouldn't make the corner. So it is an adjustment. But these guys that have a lot of experience, like Nemechek, he won here against Earnhardt, if you remember. Very thrilling race on the last lap here.
Now you see Tony Stewart, look at those numbers, fastest on the track. He is 3 7/10 seconds behind Joe Nemechek, Glenn, but if the stopwatch means anything, he's picking up a bit every lap.
Well, he is, Eli, and he's reporting that the car is just a little bit tight. We were watching Tony claw and fight his way through that traffic to get all the way back up to second. And when he finally cleared all the traffic, he radioed in and asked Greg Cipodelli. He said, okay, who are we racing now? And Greg told him, okay, you're in second place, about 3 seconds behind the 42 car. There was dead silence on the radio. Tony come back and said, you mean we're not in first? He didn't realize that Nemechek had gotten out ahead that far.
Well, so now he'll set sail. There are the brothers Labonte, Terry in the 5 car, riding with Bobby in the 18. That's 3rd and 4th.
Well, you remember now, Terry only took on 2 tires on that pit stop to get track position. So right now, he's not on the best tires. As you see him go outside there, and Bobby looks to the inside to pass.
Onto the main straightaway.
And somebody woke up Dale Jarrett, too. He's really flying back up here. If he can get back up and get back in the lead lap, I think he has the fastest car here today.
He certainly has got to be aware of the value of doing exactly that. He just doesn't want any poor finishes right now. Having that cushion he came in with 270 points over his closest competitor is a comfortable place to be. It is not, however, comfortable to be 1 lap down.
Ralph, if it's going to happen, it's got to happen soon. We're down to 49 to go.
And it does, Eli. As far as Bobby Labonte is concerned, he wanted to make an adjustment to the braking of the car. That's one adjustment the driver can do from inside the cockpit. What he had to do, however, was figure out which way to turn the knob. And that was a pretty tricky thing for the crew to tell him. It took them quite a few laps for him to figure out how to get rid of the rear brake to put more braking to the front of the car. Glenn Jarrett?
Okay, thanks, Ralph. Buddy, you guys were talking about how Dale Jarrett had really turned the wick up now, and he has just cleared Terry Labonte. Bobby Labonte is next in his sights, and he is one of the fastest cars, if not the fastest car. His problem is, obviously, he needs a caution flag, and you better believe, now I haven't even checked on this, but you better believe that those guys have talked to the 42. Joe Nemechek is leading the race in case the caution comes out, pleading with Joe to make a deal to let him back in the lead lap. And they saying, hey, we'll repay the favor sometime down the road. I guarantee you there's deal making going on.
But you see the interval from the leader Nemechek back to where Jarrett and them were running, and then it's another lap on top of that. So you never know how these deals will play out. And the way this day's done, we could have another caution yet before it's all over. We're live in New Hampshire. That is 19th place on your screen. Good battle. Ward Burton in the 22, Jimmy Spencer in the 23. That is 19th and 20th position up for grabs. They work around the modified car of Kenny Wallace, who was involved in an accident earlier. That's 4th spot right there up for grabs. Terry Labonte's got it temporarily.
Jeff Burton wants it.
Permanently.
Has the preferred line as he goes down in the corner, so that wasn't much of a fight there.
Steve, Burton's up to 5th.
Yeah, but they may have a problem, Eli. One of the crew members just brought a backup battery from the car hauler. He has reportedly all the the switches off inside the race car, and I'm sure they're just trying to, you see the battery here in the pits, I'm sure they're just trying to ride it out as far as they can go. He's battled all the way up into 4th position with just 40 laps to go.
Outside NASCAR Select standing by to help out in that number 99 machine.
The best battery in the world won't get the job done if the charging system is not working.
You know, that's funny. Dale Jarrett this morning found a problem with their car, and they changed the entire electrical system all the way from up the front part of the car all the way to the rear, so they wouldn't have that problem. So, you know, they really check these things, but things can go wrong when you run races at the distance they run in Western Cup.
Rusty lost his alternator last week at Richmond as well, so there seems to be something of an epidemic of these problems at the moment.
23 teams on the lead lap. Burton still riding in 4th. At the moment, no look at slowing down. That's 21st place now. Spencer and the man with whom we're riding, Mark Martin.
You know, it's amazing that Mark Martin's even out there right now. He got clobbered in a wreck about halfway through the race. Right rear corner of that car is torn all to pieces, but he is really fighting to stay there. Look at the right rear of this car as he goes through the corner.
He never gives up, though. I mean, he is just such a tough racer. Remember July here? Started in 37, passed 31 cars to finish 6th. And here he is hobbling around in crutches. He's got a wrist in a cast. What a tough guy.
And he'll take the spot from Spencer. So Mark Martin moves up into 21st. Jimmy back into 22nd.
Jeremy Mayfield there as he starts down in the corner. And he had some problems the first part of the race also.
Yeah, he's 16 laps down. Jeremy is in 36th. Glenn, you got to be impressed with Mark Martin. Like the guys were saying, he just never gives up.
Oh, well, I'm always impressed with him, Eli. You know, I had a chance to talk with him in the garage area, and he was telling me he wouldn't complain. I had to ask a question about his back. He's got a lot of back pain. Those wrecks he had earlier in the year, and he's going to have that surgery in the offseason. But Mark's got another problem. As he comes by the start-finish line right now, Joe Nemechek is only about 3 seconds behind him, maybe 4, to put him a lap down. That's the last thing that Mark Martin wants is to go a lap down, because whatever happens, that will allow Mike Skinner's coming in the pits right now. They're going to the right side. He's got a problem. But if Martin goes a lap down, that puts him in the same position that DJ is in. And Dale Jarrett is not all that far behind him also. Mike Skinner come in now for a 4-tire change. They went to the right side. I thought maybe he had a tire going down. They were just going to do right side tires, but it's 4 tires all the way around. He is down and away.
That stop at lap 264. Meanwhile, Terry Labonte and Jeff Gordon, they battle for 5th and 6th as we work to the final 35 laps here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Next weekend, Dover Downs in Delaware. We'll be there with you, as will these two fellows be there. Jeff Gordon grabs the spot. Give him 5th ahead of Terry Labonte. But the leader is Joe Nemechek, only 1 8/10 seconds ahead of Tony Stewart. It's going to be a good finish. We're coming right back. This is his 180th NASCAR Winston Cup race. He's got 7 NASCAR Busch Series wins. Wouldn't it be something if he wins today?
Going to be 2 in a row for first-time winners, with Tony Stewart winning last week.
Last time that happened, 2 consecutive races won by a first-time winner. 1970. Pete Hamilton won at Daytona, and James Harvey Hilton won the next race at the old Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway.
You know, I knew that. I really, I knew that. I'll tell you something else. Tony Stewart is just chipping away at this lead right now that Nemechek has. He's down to about a 15-car length lead right now, Nemechek is, and Tony Stewart consistently is faster every lap now.
Ralph, does Jay Smith think they can hold him off?
Well, Tony Glover's a crew chief. He's up on the roof. Jay Smith's on top of the war wagon. Can you guys hold off Tony Stewart here, Jay?
Well, I don't know. Tony Stewart's awful strong, and Joe's doing an awful good job for the Bell South and Chevrolet today, and I think that we can hold him off if you don't get too close to it. You never know. Longer we go.
Well, Joe's wife, Andrea, is here, Eli. She is always at the races, but there are two people missing here today. Joe's mom, Martha, and his father are not here as well. Now, they had to stay back in Florida, not because of the hurricane, but because of a wedding of a family friend. And, Eli, I know like you do, I'm sure Martha is destroying that house right now.
And for those of you there who are not watching the wedding, just stay here. The Reverend Baker, Bergman, and Gold will officiate
I
this one.
guarantee you. Knowing Martha, she's probably got a laptop sitting there watching this thing right now, because every lap that Joe Nemechek goes around the racetrack, when she's even close, she runs it with him.
One of the great ladies in this business.
Now, Tony Stewart is decidedly closing the gap here. 20 laps ago, it was 3.160 seconds between them. That last time around, it's 1.120 seconds. You can see it. They're both in the same screen. 25 laps to go.
Now, the one thing that Joe Nemechek has to do, you have to time your passes when you catch cars to get the most momentum you could possibly get. Right now, he's coming up on Jeremy Mayfield. He needs to pass him. Jeremy absolutely knows he's back there, but what he'll try to do is catch him going in the corner, set him up, and then have the spotters tell this guy, give him some room. We need to get away.
You know, if this goes green, in the next 12 minutes, we'll either have another first-time winner or a guy who didn't win till last week and would back it up with another win the very next weekend.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you, it's getting tighter and tighter. You can see the leaders there. The wives are starting to get a little excited here.
You tell him, Andrea.
Yep, Andrea says, let's get it done and head to the house. We're back with the finish from New Hampshire. Right after this, Martha, calm down. We're coming right back. Check got caught up behind the 2x2 racing of Bill Elliott and Mark Martin. They both finally pulled away, let the leaders go by, but Tony Stewart has caught Joe Nemechek for the lead.
Joe Nemechek right now coming off turn 4.
Oh, trouble. Elliott Sadler goes around running in ninth
Everything we can get right here. Everything we can get.
What a finish we're going to have. And watch this race back. Joe Nemechek and Tony Stewart with Elliott Sadler going around lap 283. Heartbreaker for Sadler, running all day in the top 10. The spin off turn number 2. And Joe Nemechek is the race leader.
Elliott Sadler got back around straight and did not lose a lap, though. He will come around and then come in the pits and probably put 4 tires on.
And again, what the incident was Elliott Sadler right here. Let's watch.
Schrader gets into the left rear corner. Around goes Elliott Sadler. Watch him back up the racetrack here. Never making contact. Oh, that's close, but it just barely touched it with the back of the car.
He took the paint off that back bumper, I think.
Yeah. And here was the race back to the caution, won clearly by Joe Nemechek.
Yeah.
So we are under caution. Dale Jarrett did not get his lap back. He gave it a good run, but came up shy. 16 laps from the finish in New Hampshire. This is going to be good. To the green to settle the Dura Lube K-Mart 300. This caution when Elliott Sadler spun off the corner. Tightens things up. Joe Nemechek, Tony Stewart, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, all in position to win here in New Hampshire.
Boy, the greatest thing they got going is Mark Martin on the inside. He's a gentleman. You see him roll out and let the 2 leaders go by as they go down in the corner. Now it's just who has what.
Nemechek has opened a little bit of ground between himself and Tony Stewart.
Car length and a half is breathing room enough. There's the Midas wall camera brought to you by Midas. Giving you some great shots here today. Nemechek by 2, now by 3, now by 4 car lengths. Glenn, Nemechek really pulling Tony off the corner.
Yes, he is. And we're gonna ask Greg Zipadelli. We've been hearing these guys talk about maybe a possible engine problem with the 20. Greg, is there an engine problem on your car?
About 15, 20 laps ago, we picked up a little bit of a skip vibration. I really don't know what it is. We're just going to go and take what we can get here.
Okay, you heard that. They don't know if they've got enough left to take Nemechek. How about it, Ralph?
Well, the story for Joe Nemechek, Glenn, was his tires were starting to go away on the front of the car, but that yellow is just what he needed. He was able to cool those tires down and now get that grip again.
But how about, is this another caution that he needed? Nothing is flying yet. Now it's out. Jimmy Spencer spins, turn 2, and they are going to throw the yellow with 10 to go.
Oh, man. You talk about nail-biting time this here.
Look at it.
Andrea says, would you please run these laps and let's be done with it?
Let's finish this thing with my husband in first. Meanwhile, the Home Depot guys have a different idea as to how this should all go.
No question about it. Joe Nemechek was much quicker just in with cooler tires.
Now the track should be clean and green. We ought to be going back here to work very, very quickly. Remember, though, it'll be a single file restart. Among only the lead cars will be inside 10 laps, and around goes Spencer. At Chad Little's machine just behind him.
Just a little touch on the wall.
That's Jimmy right there. He gets a touch, looks like from Chad Little, just enough to turn him sideways a little bit.
Doesn't take much of anything.
In this case, truly just a little nudge. And there's Jimmy and the Team Winston entry. So we got to do it again. Pit stops for some. LePage is in, Hut Strickland's in, Dale Earnhardt will stop. Here's what Robert Presley saw. And there goes James towards the wall. Again, inside of the final 10 laps of a NASCAR Winston Cup race, it is a single file restart, and only the teams on the lead lap can start up front. Everybody else has to fall in behind. So that would mean that 18 teams will line up single file. They'll get the 1 to go signal this time. Joe Nemechek's wife, Andrea. They've been to victory lane before at this racetrack and elsewhere. 7 wins in the NASCAR Busch Series. The 1992 NASCAR Busch Series champion. But never has Joe Nemechek won in Winston Cup.
Eli, you have to wonder about Bobby Labonte just behind the 20 car there of Stewart. If he's running a little bit ragged right now, Bobby Labonte may get by him and make a run on Nemechek.
Ralph, anybody breathing down there?
Oh, nobody's breathing at all, Eli. Now, Joe has just radioed in and said he thinks he has a bad vibration, one of the front tires. The crew says, well, maybe you flat spotted it when you were trying to avoid some of those incidents. Just said, we'll fix it in victory lane. Steve?
Well, Ralph, following up on Jeff Burton, he's keeping his fingers crossed as well. As we reported, they pulled a backup battery out of the team truck, but they are registering some voltage. Jeff wanted to turn the rear end cooler back on, and Frankie Stoddard, as a true crew chief, said, leave it off and ride it out.
Take a look again at the single file restart. See where everybody is aligned. Joe Nemechek. His first NASCAR Winston Cup start was here back in July of '93. Remember that day? Finished 36th. But he was happy to make that first Winston Cup start. Bobby Hamilton hanging in a good run for Johnny Benson in 7th spot. Super run for the Cheerios team. All right, here we go. 300 laps make up the distance.
Green.
Here comes Bobby Labonte on the inside of Tony Stewart as they head down into turn 1. Didn't quite make it.
Joe Gibbs' teammates right there, Stewart and Labonte.
Trouble in turn 1. Steve Park backwards.
Spins around, but he's still moving. I don't think that'll bring a caution out as they come down into turn 3.
Exactly. No yellow flag being displayed. If Nemechek wins, he'll be a first-time winner. If Tony Stewart wins following the win of last week, it'd be the first time since 1964 that a first-time winner won the very next race as well. Left Outside tire flat for LePage. Unscheduled stop for him. On the racetrack, though, down to the final 6 laps.
Nemechek looking good so far on this restart.
That was a great shot from Bobby Labonte's car as he comes off the corner there. You can see the shine on the racetrack there. Very slick coming out of the corner. These guys are being precise, but the hammer's down right now. This is not a dress rehearsal. They're going for it.
Joe Nemechek trying to give himself an early birthday present. He turns 36 on the 26th of this month. There's 5th spot swapping around. Schrader's grabbing the spot. Ward Burton comes through. He's on the lead lap, and he'll make the move, too, as Schrader went wide. Here comes Rick Mask in the 98 and Kenny Irwin in the 28.
Terry Labonte, bam, in the back of Schrader's car.
Bobby Hamilton in the 4 also goes by. .6 of a second. Nemechek back to Stewart. Now Joe's the quickest.
Man without a ride.
Labonte and Hut Strickland, they go around. Caution on the speedway. They're not going to be able to clean it up again in time. They're going to be coming around for the win this time. We're at lap 297. If Nemechek gets back first, he's going to have this one tucked away.
The racetrack is clear. If the cars up here that wrecked stay where they're at, Nemechek knows he has to run back to the flag.
Here comes Nemechek. He comes back. He'll take the caution at 298. There'll not be time to get this one going. Nemechek. It'll be the white flag next time, and then they'll have no time to give them another lap. This one's done as long as Joe can bring it on back around to the finish in his first NASCAR Winston Cup win in his 180th start. And poor old Terry Labonte, is his day gone up in smoke or what?
Wowee, this has got to be a very special place. Joe Nemechek now has won in Busch Grand National and Winston Cup. All he has to do is keep running until the race is over.
Tony Stewart pulled up alongside him and gestured in the window.
They're coming only to the white flag, though. This is not yet over, though obviously, technically it is, but Joe will have to finish the advertised distance. Coming to the white flag, and here's the spin that caused things. You had Sadler 21, Hutch in that white and blue car, and Terry Labonte in the 5.
You can see that Elliott Sadler got in the back of Hut Strickland just a little bit. He made contact into the 5 car of Terry Labonte. That set it off.
Well, the last time 2 consecutive races were won by first-time winners, we mentioned it earlier, 1970. Pete Hamilton won Daytona. James Hilton won Richmond. Terry Labonte not at all pleased. He'll take the walk to the ambulance and the ride to the care center. But you can just imagine the yelling and screaming going on where Martha and Joe Nemechek are right now. Their son leading 72 laps en route to the victory here in New Hampshire.
You know, you can win, and win, but that first one you never forget.
Joe is the 11th winner of the year. The 9th Chevy win in 26 events. Joe Nemechek is a first-time winner in NASCAR Winston Cup racing.
Jay Smith. Tony Glover just said over the radio, Jay, that to Joe, I want you to do whatever you want to do to this race car. If you want to blow it up, smoke it up, whatever, enjoy this moment. What would you suggest?
I guess we'll just have to see what he does. Maybe do a little advertisement for Bell South here. Probably spectacular, I'd say. The first one is always memorable for everybody.
Eli, I don't think he's anything else.
Everybody going by, waving, congratulate. Look at Dale Earnhardt waving.
I just run into it.
Yeah, he just probably bumped him also.
Attaboy, Joe.
That's the rite of passage when you get bumped on the victory lap by Dale Earnhardt. What all the Nemechek family has been through. Lord knows they've had their sorrows. Today, they have their joy. Buddy, if you're new to the sport, you know that Nemechek family losing a son in this sport. But today, another son winning one for his departed brother and for a family that's been so much a part of this business. Joe Nemechek in victory lane with the family. Let's go down there and hear from him.
And there's a great celebration down here. First thing I want to say is way to go.
I tell you what, this is unbelievable, man. I got to thank God. He was watching over me. I got to thank my brother. We miss him a lot. He was watching over me. That Polish victory lap was for him. And this whole Bell South Chevrolet team, we got the car going where it needed to be yesterday. And it was awesome. I told these guys, they give me something I can go with, and we'll win this race. And Tony Glover, Jay Smith, all these guys, good pit stops, good strategy, and that's what made it work.
We want to know, we've been talking about this for the last several laps. Your mom, we didn't see her, I don't guess she's here, but how do you think she is going now?
Oh, I wish Mom and Dad were here. They're back in North Carolina, and actually I think they're in Michigan with all my relatives. So hello, Mom and Dad, we miss you. Glover, you're number one, man. It's a tough deal when you're looking for a job, too, so I guess this will help some.
I would imagine that it would help. I got one more quick question, and that is, what did you guys do to the car on that last stop that made it so fast when you pulled away?
2 tires. The first time we did 2 tires, the car was awesome, and then the next stop, we kind of got out of sequence, but the 4 tires, I got really tight, and the next stop, I said, adjust the air, put 2 on it, and we'll go. And sure enough, that thing was a rocket ship.
Boy, it was going. I tell you what, go celebrate. You have deserved it. Steve?
Thanks, Glenn. Tony Stewart has just climbed out of the car, accepted congratulations from Joe Gibbs. Well, first last week, second this week. Could you have gotten Joe if it had stayed green?
I don't know. I mean, we had the motor laid down with 25 to get like we broke a valve spring or something. But, you know, if it had went green, we might have had a shot at him because it seemed like the longer the run went, the more he fell off and the better we got. But, you know, once those yellows came out, you know, he was really good off the yellows. So, you know, what better guy to lose to? I mean, Joe deserved this when he ran his rear end off all day.
All right, 2 first-time winners back-to-back.
A great story and the future of NASCAR. No problem. A lot of great, talented youth out there showing it the last couple of races. All right, let's see where your favorite came in. Some good names. Good run for Rick Mast. Good run for Kenny Irwin today, fellas.
And Johnny Benson as well, finishing in 7th spot. Rick Mast in 9th.
And talking about Jeff Gordon, never giving up, finishing very, very well today in 5th.
With a beat-up car.
Everybody had a beat-up car. Even the race winner had a beat-up car.
We've had 2 good ones in a row here in New Hampshire.
We really have.
Real good races.
A good season of racing up here at the Bears racetrack. There you see some of the fellas. Wonder where Kyle would have finished had he not had the problems, because he was a top 3 car when he was running.
Eli, I got to tell you, I think he would have been up there racing these guys for the win. He had a great car today. Kyle Petty had it all together today. It was good to see.
And there you see those who had problems early here at New Hampshire. Well, we had action from the get-go, beginning right there at lap number 4. There you see the NASCAR Winston Cup points. Only 16 markers were lost today by Dale Jarrett. The change, though, coming with Bobby Labonte moving around Mark Martin to grab 2nd spot. Guys, time to pack the bags and head to Dover Downs. That's where we are next weekend. It's going to be good there as well. I like that racetrack.
So do I. White Lightning, they call it. You'll see why when you join us next week on TNN.
A day filled with cautions. There's our schedule for next weekend. The NASCAR Busch Series and the MBNA Gold 200. Then on Sunday, the Winston Cup teams. 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time from the Monster Mile, Dover Downs International Speedway. So Joe Nemechek is a first-time winner in NASCAR Winston Cup. Now he sets his sights on finding a new riding and driving home for the year 2000. A big thank you to Dr. Dick Berggren and Buddy Baker. The guys on pit road into the garage doing a great job today. Glenn Jarrett, Ralph Shaheen, Steve Burns. Andrea, your hubby did good. Celebrate. I'm Eli Gold. For all of us at TNN Motorsports, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week at Dover. Joe Nemechek wins in New Hampshire.